Sure, get them likes up, y'all. Get them likes up. Sure, get them likes up, family. Get them likes up. All right, y'all, it's showtime. Give it up for Ameera, y'all. Give it up for Ameera, y'all. Give it up for Ameera. I see you. I see you.
JR, stop it.
I see you.
You
Get them
so
likes
crazy.
up, y'all. Get them likes up.
Thank you, JR. Thank you for making me nervous. I wasn't nervous in the beginning, and now I am. Since you give it up for Ameera, throw your hands in the air, wave them like you just don't care. Okay. Hey guys, welcome in.
What?
Welcome to our. Stop it, JR. Oh my God, I cannot. Thank you guys for joining us for our Sunday show. JR, please, no more. Okay. Thank you guys for joining us, and I hope you guys are having a great week. Great weekend, and I hope you're getting ready for another prosperous, successful week to come. You guys saw the title already. You saw the title. You already know it's triggering. Let's just get into it. Welcome in, Terrell. Welcome in, Boa. Hi, Boa. Hi, Moss. Hi, Vape King. Hello. Someone named themselves Call Me a Pick Me podcast. Wow. I love it. Hi, Lou. Hey. Lou, hi, T-Mac. Hello, welcome in. It's so good to see all of you again. And hello, Mr. Ray. Hello to you as well. Hi, JR. Also, so the topic that I have for you guys today is a little bit personal because I want to give you guys a little bit of insight on my cultural experience and also what we do when we're getting married. So when we get married, there is a long system of things that need to happen before the marriage actually happens. So what I want to speak to you all about right now is the process of this. So it basically starts off with the preparation and testing of a new bride-to-be. The preparation and testing of this. Now, this has nothing to do with how she, if she knows how to cook or all of that. That should be done already. She should already know how to cook. She should already know how to serve, how to be respectful, like the whole list that we've already gone down. She should already know all these things. We already moved past that. Now we're getting to the point where a suitor has already showed interest, parents and everyone else is involved. Now, where do you go from here? what do you do? Is it just, you guys just say, okay, we like each other, let's go? No. This is courting. This is the difference between courting and dating. What I've seen with dating is that with dating, a lot of people just spend the time, see if they like one another. Um, you guys call it getting to know one another, which I think is absurd because you're only getting to know the representative at that point. You're not gonna know someone, I believe, in my opinion, until you're married, living with them, and you're living day in and day out life with them. That's the way you know somebody. But yes, Terrell, don't jump ahead. Don't jump ahead. But this is why I say, what happens when we start courting? What are the things that courting means? What is this man looking for, and what is her obligation to prove? Because in our culture and most Eastern cultures, the woman is the one that has to prove her worthiness to get married, not the man. The man is typically, the woman is doing all of the work. She's doing most of the work at home. She's doing most of the work with the families, bonding the families. She's going to be the one that's going to be the glue, bonding the families together. There's a saying in our culture that women are the glue, men are the wood of the families. Men are the stable parts. Women are the glue that keeps everybody together. This is why when there's divorce, typically the woman is blamed because you're not being your glue that you need to be. You're not being the glue of the family that they need. So, me and my husband were speaking about this actually just like a few days ago too. Okay, one moment, let me get comfortable. Okay, so I want to explain to you guys the courting process. So when I was getting courted, well, I don't want to make it too personal, I guess. Okay, so courting. The man has already shown interest. He needs to know about this woman. He will go to her family, most likely. Go to her family, and if she doesn't have a family, he will go to the closest people around her. Go to them, speak to them, see how they are. The first people that get vetted is your family in typical way. The first people that get vetted is your surroundings, your family, your friends, the people around you. Because, like I said, everyone is on their best behavior during courting and boyfriendhood, boyfriend, girlfriendhood. I don't know what you guys call that. But everyone is on their best behavior. So I'm not going to judge you by how you're acting right now because I already know you're happy and we haven't gone through any troubles yet. So of course you're going to be great. You get judged by your family, your family status, the surrounding people that you surround yourself with, and your behavior throughout the years. Now, this is why we have this issue in our culture of gossiping. Now, in America, gossiping, it doesn't matter. You guys, I admire your freedom a little bit because in America, women can do whatever they want, and there could be rumors about you online. There could be all kinds of things, and it won't really affect your chances of getting married because people are just talking. You guys see it as, oh, you can't judge me. I don't care if you're talking about me. It doesn't matter because I'm still going to do what I want, and I won't have any consequences. In our culture, not so much. So what happens is this: you get judged by your family and your behavior throughout the years because people around you will say, if you are a party girl, if you are a drinker, if you are possibly the the most horrible thing that you can be, which is not virgin, it can all of these surrounding factors can let a man know what he's getting into, the type of woman he is bringing into his home, into his family. So let me give you guys this. You guys see on the bottom, clean background and no rumors. This is the hardest thing to maintain because you can have a clean background, but the rumors is the problem. And now I don't know if American men feel the same way about the vetting of women. I recommend that American men do the same. I recommend that because American men, you guys lose so much more than Eastern men in marriage. So I recommend that you guys use this system of vetting from the East. Use the Eastern system of vetting for your women because you guys are losing more than anyone. So why not take this thing from the East and use it for the West? So, clean background, no rumors. What you want is a woman that is has a decent background, that when people speak about her, they don't start acting weird. When I give you an example, you don't want a girl that when you speak about her or you say her name to other people that they go, "Oh, yeah, yeah, oh," you don't want that. If every time you talk about, you say your new intendant's name and people are like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I know her. Yeah, we all know her." Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. You want that when you ask people about your new intended to be, that people are like, she's a very good girl. She's wow, dependable, she's great, she's sweet, she's kind, I mean, I can't speak for every man, but I would imagine that there is a default to what a man wants when other people are speaking about his new woman. Yeah? The clean background also entails your relationships. Do you have a clean relationship background? Have you been around the block, as they say? Have you been with everyone? Do you have a habit of stealing from people, of being rude and creating enemies? Have you created a lot of enemies in your lifetime? These are things, and also if you're helpful, are you helpful? About the rumors are very hard to control because you cannot control what other people think about you. You can only be you. The way other people will see you, that's their problem, honestly. But what you don't do is give them ammunition or give them any kind of way to build a rumor, because straight away rumors can be discounted. I give you an example. In many countries, I want to say in Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, mostly, I use Saudi Arabia as an example just because it's the strictest out of all the Muslim countries. In Saudi Arabia, women cannot leave the home without permission from guardian, their guardian or husband or father. Well, father is considered guardian as well. So you cannot leave the house without permission from your mahram. Your mahram, it can be a male, but it has to be someone. It could even be your son. For a woman, even if her son is of age, let's say her husband has passed, her son can be her mahram because this is the man that's going to be watching over you. So in that culture, sorry, when the woman leaves the home, she has to get permission from her mahram first. And this is a way to protect her God, I don't want to say it like this. Her chasticity, her virginhood, maybe her purity. In a lot of ways, this is the way to protect her because every time she leaves the home, there's always a man who knows where she is, what she's doing, and when she's coming home. There's no like, oh, I don't know what my daughter is doing. I don't know if she's been out here. I don't know. No, you always know what your daughter's doing. So this is why, and even if it's not your daughter, it's your mother. So it doesn't matter who it is, you always know what she's doing. This is another way, because also rumors, especially in the Middle East, if a girl goes outside, let's say she's just going to hang out with her girlfriends, they want to go to the coffee shop, they want to go to shopping. Other women who are jealous, which is, we talked about this last week about toxic femininity. Other women who are jealous could go back and say, "Oh yeah, she didn't go to the coffee shop. She was out and I saw her. She was walking with another man holding hands." And the whole town will take that rumor and spread it. No matter if it's true or not, they will spread it because, oh my gosh, Middle Easterners love gossip. I don't know if Americans are like this too, but they love gossip. Oh my God. When somebody says something bad about somebody, everybody's ears are, "I'm sorry, what? She did what?" So no matter if it's true or not, they'll say, "Oh yeah, she wasn't there. She was holding hands with a man walking on the beach side or something." Then people will say, "Oh yeah, she's not good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Did you hear about what she was doing last week? Oh yeah, she's very dirty girl. She would never marry my son. She would never come around my family, the men in my family. Oh no, no, no." And God forbid that this woman's son gets interest in this girl, she would say, "Oh no, 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 no. She has a bad reputation." Even though the girl did nothing. But like I said, this is why we have certain systems in the Middle East, because we want to protect that woman's purity. You want to protect it. because her value, a lot of her value, lies in her purity. We don't. It's a completely different system, and it's very strict on women. We're very strict on women, and I don't know if America could ever be like us. I don't know if they could ever go back to this kind of tradition. But with the world changing right now, you guys see the changes that are happening in Eastern Europe. This might bring on a world change that we've never seen before. So maybe this is the time of the essence to change things that aren't working, and change them for the better. So the clean background and no rumors. Rumors are like the devil for us. Like, rumors are the devil because they can affect your life in our culture. You can lose so much because someone spread a rumor. So that's why I say always having a man, a guardian, always know where you're going, what you're doing, in order to protect yourself from rumors. You always have someone that can vouch for you. They can vouch for you. They can say, no, this isn't true. She isn't like that. I know her. Women, you can do that in America as well. You really can. You can have this system in America. And so that when you are getting picked to get married, you can have your system of people around you that can vouch for you this way. But, right. The next thing I want to speak to you about is the dowry and Maher price. Now, this is this is part of the title. So the Maori, the dowry and Maher price. A lot of people call this the purchasing of your wife, the purchasing of a bride. Now, I don't consider it that way at all. We don't consider it that way, but if you look at what it is, a lot of Americans, in order to simplify it, it does look like you're purchasing your wife. It does, but we don't really see it that way. In India, it is definitely a purchasing of a woman, but in the Middle East, we see it as gift giving, appreciation, and trying to impress your in-laws. The man is trying to impress the in-laws that what he is able to give to them for gratitude for raising up his wife. You raised your daughter for me, so I'm going to give you money because of what you did, the hard work that you spent raising her up the proper way. I am giving you gratitude for doing this, because I know that I am removing a valuable piece of your family by taking your daughter off with me. So why do I keep saying Maori? Because I want to mix the words dowry and Maher. Maori. So the dowry and Maher price, it can depend on many things, but more specifically, it depends on the woman's virginity status. If the woman is not a virgin, this woman cannot ask for a very high mahar. You cannot ask for a huge mahar if you're not virgin. So, and with dowry, now that's an Indian thing. Dowry, I don't know if you guys have this word in English. If dowry is an English word, I don't know. But in India, it's the same concept, but a lot of people in their country, they have it really backwards, where they pay the man to take the woman, which is unheard of in my culture. So dowry and mahar price, it can be, I can give you an example. I'm not going to say what my mahar was, but I'll give you an example. A woman, if she's virgin, she can ask for anything from a house to a luxury vehicle to gold bars. If she has a farming family, she can ask for livestock, which is very expensive. Livestock is very expensive. And especially during times of holidays, livestock is very, very, how can I say, like fruitful, profitable, because we can kill a lamb, sell it to the village, make a lot of money from that. So if a woman is a virgin, she can ask for so many things from her husband for the mahar. If you aren't virgin, you can still ask for what you want, but the man has to choose if he is going to fulfill your mahar. Does that make sense? If he doesn't feel like you are worth the mahar that you're asking for, he will not pay. He just won't pay. And he would just say, no, that's too high, or I don't think that, And the woman then has to decide, like, either I lower my mahar price or I end up single again. I'm just waiting again. So this is kind of a bargaining almost. Really, it is kind of a bargaining. Although we do say it is a gift, it is a gift, the mahar to the family or the bride. It can be to the bride or to the family. It's still kind of a bargaining because the wedding is not going to happen without the mahar. The mahar is it's how can I say imperative? It is important. You cannot get married without a mahar in the culture. So yes, you have to do the mahar, and the man, like I said, if he feels that her mahar is too expensive or not, she's not as valuable as she's trying to make it seem for that mahar, then no. But a woman, you will see in the Middle East, women get gold bars. You see women who get gold bars for their mahar. There are women who get luxury cars, Mercedes. You can ask for anything you want. You can ask for a box of diamonds. You can ask for anything you want. And if the man thinks that you are worth that mahar, you will receive it. The other thing about the mahar is that this is for the woman and her family. She does not have to give it back if the pair divorce. If they end up divorcing, she does not have to give back her mahar. In fact, I don't think she should actually have give back her mahar at all. So the woman keeps that for herself. So it's not like one of those things where, you know how engagement rings, Americans have the engagement ring, and if you guys don't end up getting married, the man can take back the engagement ring. In our culture, no. You give a mahar, she has the mahar for the rest of her life. Next. Oh goodness. Now this is gonna get to the really crazy part. I want to say crazy part because this is where it gets kind of sad. The question is, what happens when the woman fails the test, the bridal test? What happens when she fails? Do you guys know what I mean by fail, right? What happens when she has asked for a huge mahar prize? She has, let's say she got approved by the family. They thought that she has a clean background. They thought, oh, there's no rumors. She's great. She's passed. But then the night of the wedding, when it is time to actually show your worth, there's no virginity. There's no hymen. What happens? This is punishments. So here we go. It depends on the country that you're in, but in most countries, what will happen if they have gotten married and the night of the night when virginity is supposed to be given, there's no virginity given, even though mahar has been given and everything else has been, there has been cases where the man will literally straight after realizing that he has purchased a used product for brand new price, he will eject the woman out of the house, throw her clothes out. She will not be married, and she has this on her record: the fact that she got married under the pretense of being a virgin and she wasn't. And when a woman has that kind of record where she tried to get married as a virgin and it turned out that she wasn't, and she got embarrassed, shamed her family, this is unspeakable. This is unspeakable. I mean, I don't know of a woman ever getting married after having that kind of situation. And the problem with this is this. Sometimes there are cases where women do not have the normal reaction to the first time to losing their virginity as most women. Does that make sense? I hope I'm not losing you guys. When I say the normal reaction is typically bleeding, the hymen breakage, of course. So if this doesn't happen, it's not all the time that the woman is not virgin. That's not all the time what it means, because there are women who don't have this reaction. There are women who do not bleed. And there are women who have broken their hymen by accident. Because when you're a kid and you're playing, there are times when girls will accidentally break their hymen. Whether it's like riding bicycles or playing around, it's an accident. So what happens then when the woman, she swears, I am virgin, I told you this because I am, and I'm truthful, and so on and so forth? No one will believe her. No one will believe, and she will be ruined. Because there's no other way to prove that she was. There's no other way to prove that she was a virgin. So these are the times where you see women who, unfortunately, they remove themselves, they control, alt, delete themselves from this planet because culturally she is stained. Even though she has been pure, she's stained. And there are women who delete themselves because of this, because they can't live knowing that they are actually virgins and no one will believe them. So this is why in our culture, a lot of times they tell the little girls, you do not ride bicycles, you do not do, certain sports, because we do not want to risk this happening and my daughter never getting married. The other thing that happens is a check, a doctor's check. So a lot of families request a doctor visit before the night of the night, just to make sure that they are getting the proper product that they are paying for. So that sounds so bad. That's not what I mean. Not the proper product that they're paying for, but they're getting the proper. You understand. I don't need to make it into nice words. You understand what I'm talking about. I mean, when all of this happened, there's a lot of money spent here. There's lots of money spent. There's lots of a bonding of families. And then if this happens, this ruins families. Families will be at war with one another for the rest of eternity. Some people even they have honor. You understand. Okay. I'm going to bring this last point up to you. The white linen sheet. The story of the white linen sheet. This is very embarrassing, but it is one of the ways that that some families, especially like Eastern European families, I want to say Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan, all of the Stan countries they have this kind of system where the night of the night, when a family puts their son and daughter together to not you understand, they're not brother and sister, but one son from another family and a daughter from another family. When they're together that night, they will have either the mother-in-law of the girl, the mother of the girl, of the bride. She will take these sheets. She will buy the whitest sheet possible. She will buy the whitest sheet. She will bleach it for like a month. She'll bleach it until it's almost transparent. This thing is so white and so crisp, and everything, you can see dust particles on it. It is so purely white. That will be the sheet that will be used for her and her daughter and her son-in-law to, and in a lot of villages, what they'll do is the night of the night, after the deed has been done, once there's a stain, they take this sheet, take it outside to the yard, in front of the neighbors, and hold it up, and let the world see the sheet, the white linen sheet with the blood stain. That is how serious it gets. This is how serious it gets. This is not something to play with. This is embarrassing. Of course, it's embarrassing to have your, the sheet that you just made love in for the first time displayed in front of the whole neighborhood. But it happens. And it's, yeah. So, yeah, just to give you guys an idea, this happened to my mother and my mother-in-law. Okay, so this is a big deal. And the only reason it didn't happen to me is because we're living in America and we don't do those kind of things in America. Can you imagine? But this happens. So just to let you guys know, it's a very serious thing. And when we're talking about price of a woman, I know a lot of women hate to feel that your value lies in between your legs. A lot of women are like, oh my God, this is the only thing I'm valuable for. I'm smart, I'm intelligent, I'm helpful, I'm this, I'm that. A lot of women just do not see it this way. I know a lot of women say, my value does not lie in this. But what you don't understand is for families, for centuries, okay, this is not just about you. This goes back centuries. Okay, this is centuries of traditions that ensured the legacy of men to go into the future. This ensured the legacies of men. So you may see it as, oh, this is just, it's so degrading. Yeah, it can be, but it was a way to ensure the legacy was brought properly along, not just improper, I wouldn't say improper women, or women that have basically ruined themselves for a good man. They ruined themselves, but expect a good man in the end. It's very hard, guys. So I'm actually shaking just talking about this topic, because I just think about the girls that have the situation where they fail, when they fail the test and it wasn't their fault. They failed and it wasn't their fault. And the other things that happen, as you guys know, is women trying to get around the system, getting around the bridal testing by using other methods of intercourse, using other methods of sexual intercourse in order to avoid breaking a hymen. But you're using other, you can use your imagination what they're doing. Okay, just use your imagination. I'm not going to go into detail because that's not what I'm here for. And there's also been even further testing now that they do, that families do, to even check back there. They're even checking back there now because they know that the girls use other options before they get married. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's very, very hard. And so I'm telling you guys this story for a reason. In America, in the West, in the culture that we have here, you are lucky. You are very lucky and privileged to not have to go through that. You do not have to be, you won't lose your chance of having a proper life or a proper marriage because you don't have a piece of skin down there. Does that make sense? You are lucky to not have this. And the reason I say this is because when it comes down to bridal price and what women are asking for in the West, realizing that men see value in other things that maybe women do not see the value in, or we don't understand why these things are so valuable. But for a man, it's not just about that little piece of skin that is a hymen. Sorry. It's not just about that little piece of skin that's a hymen. It's about the morale of the woman that you are bringing into your life for the rest of your life, the woman that will parent your children, the woman that will be called the angel of the house. This is the woman that you are going to take pictures with, and they're going to be hung up on the wall for the future generations to look back on. This is important. This is not just about the, as women call it, degrading and so on and so forth. What you have in America is men. You guys have men that are willing to accept women without this. They're willing to accept a woman without all of these rules and regulations and certifications and testing. You guys are privileged. You guys are lucky to be born here and to have the options. So when it comes down to bridal price and the price of yourself that you're going to give to a man, I just think that it should be fair. It should be fair to the man. Don't make him. I see a lot of men going through a lot of hoops in America to get these women, but the women in different countries or different areas would be considered worthless almost. But here, a man is jumping through a hoop to get her, and she doesn't treat him properly. She's not treating him right. She's treating him as if he should be lucky to have her. And just a reality check. It's just a reality check that you don't know what others have to go through in order to get that. And they won't be forgiven like you would. Women have deleted themselves, like I said, because of less. So, thank you guys. And I want to welcome in Mr. Kulik. Welcome in, Mr. Kulik. How are you?
How you doing there? How you doing there?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Yeah, much respect to what you're talking about here now and having the courage to talk about this. And this has been very informative, very
I'm
great.
shaking. I'm shaking.
And I'm glad a woman's doing it too, because if a man did this, it would be considered hateful or misogynistic. But, what we don't talk about in this country, how we don't talk about this term called misandry. And that's the opposite of being misogynist. And we don't talk about it. There's a lot of misandry going on in this country, and how, how hateful and devious women are to men in this country. And like you just said, Ameera, how they're not appreciative of what they have, because I know a little bit about what's going on over there and their traditions and cultures. And I don't see these feminists over here going to Saudi Arabia trying to help these women. I don't see them. They do all this hoopla and hoorah because they're spoiled, they're unappreciative, and they're fake. And I just appreciate that you're talking about this. I really do.
Yeah, I am. I don't want to judge women. I don't want to judge women because I understand that here you're not raised this way. You're just not raised that way. Hi, Layla. See, she's a Muslim as well. She probably understands what I'm talking about if she's from the East. But the women are not raised this way. So I cannot fault you for not knowing what is valuable and what is not and what to do because you weren't taught. So this is one thing that I'm like, I feel for Western women sometimes, even though I get so angry, but I feel for them at the same time because I'm like, no one told you the value. No one told you your worth. And women get to teenager age and they just let everything go, not understanding the life that you could have if you just maintained your chastity. Is that how you say it in English? Chastity, right?
Yes,
Chastity?
yes. And just how important a woman's femininity is, her chastity, how she utilizes her body, what kind of men she gives it to. American women, they don't respect that, nor want to hear, especially from men. But we're and the mirror is telling you all this is very important. When women get my age or in their late 20s and they've been out there partying hard and doing all this wild stuff, it just never works out for them. Mentally, they go insane. They can't find a man that wants to be with them because they've been out there partying or, just very loose, and stuff like that. And it's just very important to know that women, I'm gonna say this: if y'all are out there having all types of relations, I'll say that word because I don't want to say the S word. I don't want to mess the channel up. You're not gonna find a good man. You're not gonna find a good husband. You're more likely going to be divorced. You're gonna be miserable. So the choices you make at an early age will always follow women later in their life. But for me, it's opposite. That's being out here wild and partying, and I'm not saying that's right for men to do, but that's what men do. Women can't do that. We're different. You can't do that. That's not misogynist or nothing like that. That's not your nature. You were not made to be out here partying. And again, only a woman can only really be with one man spiritually, mentally, and physically.
Yeah, I agree. And I brought that up. I brought up that point also because it's like when people were asking me like, oh, God forbid you get divorced, Ameera, what would you do? How would you live? And I said, I've only been molded for my husband. My husband has molded me only for him. So what am I going to do trying to be a triangle, trying to go into a circle peg? It won't work. I've been molded already. So I'm like, how would I? It just doesn't make any sense. I see the comment that says that it should be common sense. Someone said it should be common sense or something like that. Here it is. It says, it's common sense, Ameera. They should already know. You would think everyone would know, but it's not that common. It's not that common, especially when feelings are involved, because you understand women, we're very weak that way, yeah? So for a woman, you speaking logically and saying, well, this is common sense, you should know, that goes all out the door when a woman is overtaken mentally by a man, because you dominate a woman through her mind. You get in a woman's mind, she's all yours. Done deal. And this is what a lot of women are facing, I believe. This is why I think either Anton or JR was talking about how there's like this it's like when a man imprints on a woman, he imprinted on her. Does that make sense? I'm sorry, my voice is a little bit, but a man imprints on a woman, and ever since then she is made for him until it takes forever to try to mold her out of that. So this is why I say be careful, and no, it's not common sense. It's definitely not common sense when you have Mr. Millennial. I'm going to ask you to move the camera back because it's not good for the show just to be like either in your ear or on your forehead. I'm sorry, guys. My voice is so messed up. But yeah, so do you have anything else that you see, Mr. Kulik, regarding this before Wes and Mr. Millennial speak?
Yes, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but there's another controversial term. Some say it's real, some say it's fake. But the term I'm looking at here right now, because I want to say it right, is micro chimerism. And basically, what that is, you were talking about how a man can mold a woman, and I'm trying to see how I can say this to keep it, um, not so spicy. Basically, when two people are having sexual relations, a man and a woman, that is, and it's unprotected, a man, leaves his DNA. What it says is that DNA changes, or that fluid, if you will, changes the woman's DNA forever. So she's molded to him and vice versa. So women out here that out here having unprotected sex and out here with all types of men, what is that doing? So in other words, that can actually dictate how a child can look, act, and stuff like that. So some men that are having children with these women, they go, well, this child, my daughter or son, doesn't really look like me. He looks like
Where do you
somebody
get this
else.
picture from? Yeah.
Right. Or this might, he might act like this person here. So, I believe in it.
That's crazy. I mean, I can't believe that would happen, because when you think about, God, this is all biological, right? I'm sure Wesley would know more about it. But like when you have an egg, there's no other DNA that can enter that egg, right? When a baby is being developed. So I don't think that you could have that, but who knows? I mean, that's scary. That's scary, ladies. You need not have oh my God. I'm happy. I'm so happy I'm married. Okay. Hi, Wesley. How are you?
Hey, Ameera. So, interesting topic.
As always.
Yeah. What sparked this topic for you?
That's a great question. My mother-in-law. So, as you guys know, we have a few people in our families getting married, and this is what we're going through right now. We're going through a little bit of the same things that I went through, and looking at it from as an outsider who's already been through it, I'm looking at these women like, oh my gosh, you're gonna have to go through this. I'm looking at them because they're like excited about getting married, and I'm like, yeah, you got to go through a lot before this happens. And just recently, I had a conversation with my mother and my mother-in-law, and they were both talking about the exact same experiences. They said that after their first time, they had that white linen sheet, that crisp white linen sheet, and they took it out and showed the rest of the town, not town, but the neighborhood that they lived around, because just in case there were any doubts in people's heads, they were like, look, my daughter-in-law, she is a girl. She's a girl. So we call it girl. When you're virgin, you're girl. So she's like, she was girl. And so, yeah, when she spoke about that, I was like, wow. And that's when I started thinking about the country that I live in, the culture, the cultural issues that we always talk about. All of us are talking about these cultural issues. And this is when I started thinking about that. And I was like, you know what? This is something that should be not implemented in the United States. Of course, I don't recommend that you do that to women and take the sheet. It can be traumatizing, in my opinion. I would have been traumatized. But at the same time, there should be a system where men can vet their women properly. Make it a little bit more strenuous. Make it so that women think twice before they decide to be reckless. Make it so there are consequences, because we know that there's consequences. We know, Eastern women, we know that there's consequences. So that's why I say the West, there's just no consequences, and the men accept anything. You guys just are so tolerant and accepting, which is beautiful. But at the same time, you get used and abused for it, because there's no balance. It's everything gynocracy. Everything is about the woman. How she feel. Is she embarrassed? No, don't be too mean to her. Oh, don't hurt her feelings. Well, you don't know her situation. Maybe she didn't. It's just, I'm ranting. I'm sorry.
So the West is experiencing consequences from this. And I think as individual societies evolved, the ones that evolved successfully, they typically discover a lot of the similar things.
Anita and Mr. Service, can I get both of you guys to wave or give me a thumbs up, please? Thank you, Miss Anita. Mr. Service, can I get you to give me a sign of life? No sign of life? Okay, you zombie? Okay. I'm joking. Well, whenever you give me a sign of life, I'll let you in. Hello, Miss Anita. I'm so happy to have a woman here as well. Let me see. Let me try to get you guys to be like this. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Anyone feel free to speak on the topic.
So,
I'm open.
As I was saying, as societies evolved, a lot of the successful ones usually discover around about the same things. A couple of those things would be specifically about marriage and dynamics between men and women. And one of the ways to prevent disease is to not spread disease. You know, these in modern era, we have all these protections. We have tools to protect. However, there's still disease running rampant. Can you imagine that? You know, a few hundred years ago, without those tools, no. You got to prevent. You know, to protect your society, protect your community. You have to keep those diseases out. The other thing is, you know, having it's the same thing we're seeing right now. The single motherhood epidemic. You know, women that have multiple children from multiple men. Does not create a cohesive society. The classic nuclear family, man, woman, and their children, that's a very strong unit. Those are the bricks in which you build a nation. And when those things begin to crumble, so does everything else around it. So we're experiencing those ancient consequences that they discovered that they needed to overcome.
Well, that's how Rome fell. We all know that Rome started falling when they started having this gynocracy creep in their culture as well. Can I get Mr. Millennial and then the lady? Can I get the lady to speak as well?
Yeah, so just listening to the other guys' points, they've already talked about some stuff I wanted to talk about, but it's one of those things that can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's one of those things you can't serve two masters. You can't serve two masters, and you got to prioritize one thing over anything else. And a lot of people have been sold this, especially women, career women being slaves to the career, and then realizing you can't balance that with prioritizing a man or marriage or a nuclear family or being a wife or a mother for children. It's extremely hard. It's impossible to do that. We're seeing that right now, that you cannot balance maximizing your career and income, working 80 hours a week, being a doctor, being a lawyer, and being able to have a wife. This is why lawyers and doctors and women, they typically end up not married or divorced. And the other thing I wanted to make a point on is the sexual liberation movement, which is what America is seeing the consequences of right now, that happened in the 70s. That is what we're seeing today, which is a great emphasis of putting pleasure over virtue. It's more pleasurable to just hook up and have sex and do drugs and party all night every single day. But does that sustain a nation? Absolutely not. This is why marriage rates, divorce rates are 50%. We're not having enough children to replenish the future of this nation, which causes collapses for nations, which is what Russia's experiencing, and China, if you guys look at their economy. So none of this is sustainable. It's either you choose pleasure now and destroy the future, or you focus for the future for your children. You can't have both. And this is what people have to realize, is the consequences of their choices. So much, and this is where I go with Ameera. One final point, Ameera, your point of a lot of people are terrified or have a big taboo thing about this whole, the father of the daughter choosing what is the proper husband or buying of the woman for marriage purposes.
Right.
Statistically speaking, women that are closer and trust the judgment of their father, if they're closer with their father, they don't have daddy issues, another way you can say it. Those women are typically better for marriage. When I was living that life of hookup culture, women that had daddy issues were the most emotionally unstable and the ones that had the higher sex count out of anybody else. Those are the most unstable women married. So I thought people need to consider your input on something different. You know, it's different and it's challenging to swallow this, but what we're going through right now, it's not sustainable, and everyone can see that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Millennial. I appreciate that. And yes, I do see the same thing that you're saying. Mrs. Anita, the reason I mute is because I need the audio to balance out. And when everyone has their mics open when he's talking, the chat is speaking about getting some popping. So if I mute you, please leave yourself muted until you're ready to speak. Are you ready?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. Hi. I agree too. I believe that so many, growing up, when I was growing up, it was like I was every little girl's dream to get married and to have kids and live this beautiful, happy life, you know, fairy tale. But I don't see too many girls, younger women, looking forward to that. I see them being embraced by independence, how they don't need a man, how they got their own money, but they don't speak about how at nighttime when they're lonely. Our job is to reproduce. We're to marry. There's a reason for dating. It's not just to hook up. You know, the reason for dating is to find a suitable husband, so that way you can um, make children and build this great life together. You know, it kind of reminds me of the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, and we all know what happened with them. God burnt the whole thing down, and there was nothing left of it. I just wish that people would look at marriage differently and just remember how beautiful it is. There's so many in our culture. Weddings have declined so much. I can't remember the last time I even went to a wedding, honestly. As I'm getting ready to plan to renew my vows, I told my husband I wanted to do this as a symbol so that younger girls in our families can see what it is to have that same dream I had, you know, to walk down the aisle, to be not the prettiest girl of the day, but it's your day and you feel like you're the most prettiest one, you know? And hopefully that would encourage them to hold out and save their self. Because like the other gentleman said, Mr. West, yeah, disease is out there and it's going crazy because this music, this culture is pumping. It's okay to have one night stands. It's okay. I kissed the girl and I liked it. No, ain't none of that stuff okay.
Really quickly, Miss Anita, I don't mean to cut you off, but I listened to the stream and I don't know what is going on with the audio. It doesn't seem like it's any of the guests. It doesn't seem like it's any of the panelists. I'm not exactly sure what is going on with the sound. So let me see.
You got to cut me. It's okay.
No, it's not you. No, it's not you because they were talking about it even before, correct? Chat, let me know what's going on, if you guys are still hearing it even when I speak, or keep me posted on what you guys are listening to, because I heard it a little bit as well when I tried to listen to Miss Anita speaking as well. Okay. What you're speaking about is the American culture not placing any value on weddings, on marriage. Can I ask you this? Do you think that would you be accepting if a man you were getting ready to marry, if he wanted to marry you and he told you that you have to go through this test in order to get married? Would you be okay with that? Would you feel offended, or would you?
What kind of test? It would depend. It would depend, honestly. But I wouldn't marry a man who didn't read the Bible anyway. I wouldn't marry a man who would not respect his mother and who did not honor or value his mother. And I wouldn't marry a man who wouldn't consider marriage. I wouldn't marry a man who just wanted to sleep with me either. I wouldn't even talk to a guy whose house I couldn't pop up over without calling. I don't even, when I was dating, I would wait 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks after I got a guy's number. They would ask me for my number and I'd be like, no, you can give me yours. And so when I called them 3 to 4 weeks later, if they couldn't tell me where we met, and if they couldn't tell me how we met, then I would lose the number completely. I'm so sorry. My face right here is swollen because I just had surgery.
So you're saying that so if he doesn't memorize, well, not memorize, if he
no, you're right. If he doesn't remember me,
if he doesn't remember you,
that means he gives his number out too much.
Oh, I see. See, I wasn't getting that in the beginning. I wasn't understanding. I see.
Yeah, if he doesn't remember giving his number to me, for one, a guy shouldn't give his number to every single girl he sees. So, I guess you can say I got to feel like a little special. But I've had. Huh?
Are you married?
Absolutely.
I see your ring. It's beautiful.
Thank you. But this is my second marriage.
That's okay. You're married. Doesn't matter. But what I wanted to ask you is, what did you have to go through in order to get married or to be a wife? Were you put through anything before you were? Because I'm looking at Americans, I'm looking at the Western world. What are men doing to make sure that they're marrying the proper woman?
Honestly, both men asked me. My first husband asked me within the first 6 months that we were dating, and my second husband, he asked me probably within the second month or third month. Honestly, I don't know what I was doing. Honestly, my second husband, we were just supposed to be. I tried to get into the world and just play around, but I guess I never could. It just wasn't in me. So whatever they've seen in me, I don't know what makes them but I'm I'm like the type of girl that I still put shorts underneath my dress. You get what I'm saying? Seriously, like I can hear my mom when I go put on a dress and I don't got no shorts on. I can hear my mom like, "Girl, you ain't got no shorts underneath that dress." And I remember my second husband saying, "Are you putting shorts underneath your dress?" Yes, why is that a problem? And he was, "No, no, no."
I think it might be a little excessive.
It's like the old saying, the more power you have, the more higher standard that individual has to have. So if the men in your country, your nation, have that amount of authority and power to choosing of women, the standard of those men must be very, very high to not only treat women with dignity and respect and honor and servitude to their women and protection to their women and their family. That is the standard. To just say, "Oh yeah, it's a cool thing to sound like, and I just get to do whatever the hell I want with women and treat her like trash." Absolutely not. I would never, ever, ever encourage that or tolerate that. But at the same time, I think that system or structure respects the judgment of the father or the daughter that typically has a better judgment than a woman that says, "I just find him hot and sexy." It's just a different thing and standard that I think should be respected. So yeah, I absolutely do not think it's degrading at all.
Can I ask the men on the panel a question?
Really
If
quickly,
it's okay.
just really quickly. I am listening to the stream, guys. I see that the chat keeps complaining about buffering. It's not buffering on my end. I'm listening to it on my phone as well as here. I don't hear any buffering. I do hear a little bit of cracking in the audio. I don't know what's going on. Let me
It's
let
just
me
YouTube and the internet. It's not anything that anyone here is doing at this point. It's just YouTube and the internet.
Well, I mean, you have so many people saying the same thing. That's why I'm like, it just doesn't make any sense because I'm listening to it too, and I don't hear all of this that everyone is saying. So, I'll be right back. You guys can continue. I will be right back, and yeah, I'll be right back. I'm gonna see what I can do about this. If we need to restart this one, or if we need to do anything, we'll figure it out. So I'll be right back. Okay.
And what was your question, Anita?
Yes,
Then
my
go
question
ahead.
was, would you men, would you guys ask a woman's father for her hand in marriage prior to asking her to marry her? And what kind of a woman would you see as a difference in marriage material and not marriage material?
Well, how you doing there, Anita? How you doing there? For example, I wanted to also answer the question too about can America adopt some of the Eastern ways, and I think we can learn from what they're doing in the East and put it over here. I'm not saying everything I agree with over there in the East is good, but we do need to have a vetting process, and women do need to go to a certain type of process to be a woman, because a lot of women nowadays, they are trying to compete with men or be like men. So we need to get back into how women are competing with women, or basically improving womanhood, just like men need to improve malehood. We need to have a process of schooling and such things like that. So in theory, we need to adopt some of the things the East are doing and put it over here, because these women over here are just they're too out there and off balance. But to answer your question, yeah, I would definitely ask a woman, the father's, my potential wife's father, hand in marriage. I would do that. When I go on these dates, or when I'm courting women, when I go on these coffee dates, or whatever you want to call it, I have a list of questions I ask them, and if they don't pass my list, I'm not going on that second date. I'm definitely not going to marry them or nothing like that. And I have the questions I tell men you need to ask. And my questions are, how many men you've been with? They're gonna lie about that, but you need to ask it. Have they had any abortions? How do they feel about marriage? How do they feel about feminism? What are the skeletons they have in their closet? Such things like that. If they can't pass it, on to the next.
Okay. And
Yeah,
you
go ahead,
others?
Wes.
That sounds a bit abrasive there. So I see whether or not I would ask a woman's father if I could, request her hand in marriage. I don't know. At my age, might be a little odd, but then again, I haven't run into a woman that I'm like, you know what, I really want to be with this girl. I want to marry her. So I haven't run into that situation that I'm going to go.
Your age is not an
Maybe I
issue,
would.
Wes. Your age is no issue at all.
Thank
You're
you.
not.
Thank you.
Yeah. But it's not thank you. I mean, it's not a compliment. It's just no, it's not an issue.
I don't know. That's an interesting question. I suppose maybe I would, but I haven't gotten to the point where I feel like I've met a woman that's worth that. Now, my vetting process is pretty simple. I ask if they cook. It usually doesn't last much longer after that.
Oh, really?
Well, it's simple. If a woman tells me that she doesn't like cooking or that she can't cook, I have no interest in her.
Okay, really quickly.
Hey, hold
JR,
tight real quick. Let me test this audio real quick.
JR is doing testing right now, so let's just be quiet for a second. Do you need anyone to speak, JR, while you try it?
Nah, y'all could just chill out for a second. Hey, 1776. Unmute your mic for a second. You can mute back. Anita, unmute. No, man, I got you. All right, just hold on. Everybody just mute in between. Just mute in between. Chat, how's the audio? Is the audio okay? You guys hear any feedback? No, not the panel. I'm talking with the chat.
No, Barry said a struggle audio. Struggle audio. They said that it was good for a second and then it goes bad and then it goes good. It's just up and down.
All right, just try to monitor it, but everybody just mute in between, just so we can reduce any type of feedback.
The chat is saying that it's choppy again. And another person said it's choppy again. Larry says you're cracking. And people are saying you're breaking up. I don't know.
Hold on.
I think it's something with the stream.
Let me check them on my end. All right, chat. How's it looking? How does it sound?
I think we have to speak a little bit so they can tell if it's messing up or not.
All right, just go ahead and continue the show. Let's see how it go.
All right then. Okay. So I don't know where Anita is. I think maybe did somebody drop her out by accident? Mr. A, can I get you to give me a sign of life, please? Thank you. Appreciate it. Hello, Mr. A.
Somebody said it's still choppy. So somebody said good so far better. Okay, well we'll roll with it. Let's see what it does.
What do you hear, JR? Do you hear anything?
I'm not hearing anything, but what I have learned is that it can be good on our end and bad on everybody else's end. Usually it's the person that actually did the stream, so it could have been coming from my internet. I just got through making my internet connection a priority and shutting my son down off that game. So maybe that maybe that should do it.
I'm sorry, JR Jr. Just for a little bit, son.
This is mainly between StreamYard and YouTube itself.
You think so?
It's that connection.
Okay.
Well, somebody
The
said it's loud and clear, way better. So I'm gonna drop off.
people are saying it's a lot better. Yep, people are
Nice
saying it's a
talking to
lot
you.
better. There we go. Okay, then. So it looks like we're doing better now that JR made his internet the priority, he says. Let's all have a moment of silence for JR's son and his game. We're sorry he's going to miss it for a little bit. All right, we're back now. So everyone, welcome in A. Welcome in A. What do you think about this whole topic about purity, about bride price, about purity and the white linen sheet? What do you think?
Okay, so assalamu alaikum, Ameera. Hi, everybody.
Walaikum salam.
So, about the topic about virginity, even at my age, especially now that I'm living in this United States, I do think it's something that I would say it's not as a big of a deal as it was maybe for the older generation. Like right now, people I think around my age, they don't worry about it too much. Especially what I've noticed is people around my age. So I'm like 25, and I'm not from the conversations that I've had with guys and women. It's become pretty normal nowadays for people to be sleeping around, and the stories that I've heard is like I cannot even repeat back, and it's about guys who just sleep around and then they get married and then they right away they divorce, and then so it's like it's become pretty normal, and I would say for me it's not normal, so I'm having
Wait,
a hard time. Yes.
really quickly, I want to ask you, what country are you from?
Somalia originally.
Somalia. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that your family, are you married?
No, but I'm currently looking.
Okay. So your family, you're not going to put your wife through any tests of virginity?
That kind of thing is mostly we don't speak about that thing in my family because my father, he lives back in Somalia and I live here with my mom and my siblings. So this is
Oh, well,
not
that's
something
why.
that this is not something that we discuss.
Yeah, that's
And
probably
for
because you don't have your dad there, because typically the parents usually make sure that this is the way it
it's
is.
it's
I mean,
pretty I mean, yes, it's pretty for I know that my dad's believes that in our culture these things are they do check and they do all these kind of things, but since my dad is not here, it's like we don't talk about it as much. So my dad is actually helping me in the process of finding, so all the background and the vetting and all that kind of thing, I'm not as hands-on as he is. My dad and my mom are looking for me, so whoever they come up, and for us basically it's more about the tribe and the clan and
right. Yeah,
the
that's
the
really
back.
important as well.
So
Yeah.
it's like whoever they come up with, and if we are on the same page, that thing I don't think I'm gonna have to worry about it as much,
Mm-hmm.
because it's very serious in the Somali community back home than it is with Somali community that live here in the United States and live out
I
west, if that makes
understand. And
sense.
this is what I call the Americanization of us.
Yes.
Like our cultures being just Americanized and we're dropping the values. And the thing is, this comment, he says, being pure isn't easy, a lot of hard times and never a conversion. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it means by being pure isn't easy. Um, I mean, what is it's not
I
wait, you're
think I
saying
know
it's
what he means.
hard to not close your it's not wait, it's hard to not open your legs to people? Is that what you're saying?
We're a very the culture has become so hyper focused on sexualization that
I
it's
can go.
hard for people to stay virgins because it's being they're feeling pressured into it. If you listen to most of our modern music, it revolves around sex and it's being aimed at children.
True.
And I remember finding it appalling that mothers would take their 7 and 8-year-old daughters to what's her name? Take her to a concert where basically the woman is dancing around in her underwear talking about sex and having lots of it.
Oh my
Miley
god.
Cyrus.
No, but you understand, and go ahead, Mr. Kulik. I'm sorry.
I was just saying Miley Cyrus, for example.
Pretty much all of them.
Because there's no value put in this, and this is why I wanna implore any men here who are fathers. I want you guys to like implore that. A lot of people say, I want my daughter to always feel like she's beautiful. I want my daughter to always feel like she's loved. I want this. The best way, in my opinion, to make her feel that she is valuable is to let her know where her value is. Like, your value is in your purity. Don't let this go for nothing in the world, only to a person who is worthy of this, because I think there's not enough weight put on it here. I think that's one of the best ways to teach your daughter to love herself, is to make sure that she knows that this is not something that should be taken lightly or given away lightly, and that there's that there will be consequences if it is not done the proper way. I think that's the problem that we have here in the United States. Mr. Service, can I get you to wave again? I know you came in earlier, but I think your internet is kind of. Can you give me a Mr. Service? Do you hear me? I guess not. But yeah.
Yes.
So this is what I'm
Yes.
saying. So it's just like my Somali brother, you my brother in Islam. I can't believe that you're saying this kind of thing. Like, oh, it's not really
No,
a big deal
no,
here.
it's like it's the conversations I've had with people. It's not for me. I'm not talking about me myself. I'm talking about the conversations that I've had with people who are around my age, who are Somali, Indian, Pakistan. It's a lot of. It's not just Somali specifically. It's like the let's say.
But you're talking about for marriage. You're saying Muslims are saying it's okay.
No, I'm not saying it's okay for me. I'm saying from the conversations that I've had with people, they were telling me it's okay. It's like it's okay for them. They don't talk about these kind of things because for them they've lived here for so long, so they're basically American. So that's what
I just cannot.
I'm not talking about me per se. For me, it's very serious. I have not dated. I have.
Well,
not
you're talking
done
about
it.
Muslims, though. You're talking about
Yes,
Muslims,
yes.
and this is something that I just cannot believe. I cannot believe I'm hearing this from a Muslim that
Yes,
other
but
Muslims
as a
are
Muslim,
saying.
but as a Muslim, we're not a monolith. There are people who say they are
Well,
Muslim
let
and they
me
do these
just
things.
finish what I'm saying. I know you're trying to
Yes.
defend it. Please
Yes.
don't, because this is my view. This is just my view.
Yes,
No,
yes,
no
go
matter
ahead.
matter if this is how I see it. Like,
Yes, go
Muslim
ahead.
community, a Muslim man that speaks with other Muslim men that is coming out and saying, there's Muslim men that are kind of just okay with it now and they don't speak about it. That's really surprising to me, because I would have never thought I would have heard that coming from anyone. I have Muslim sisters in the chat right now. Layla is one of them. She's surprised because she thinks the same way I do. Very strict, very traditional. Like, we don't want to let this thing go. I don't want to let it go. I don't want to be like the rest, and I don't want our community to fall like the Americans have. I don't want it.
If I could say a thing, I'm not talking about all Somali and all Muslim people.
I know, we
in
already
general.
get that. We already
Yes.
understand. Don't worry about that.
So,
is there anyone else who has any view on that?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's very enticing. All the things that America is indulging in right now is just maximizing pleasure. That's all it is. It's like drugs. There are certain things that should not ever be allowed or tampered with. For one, people realize, like your culture realizes, if you don't treat your sexuality as something precious, as something that should be protected in moderation for a specific purpose, that thing can be enslaving. You can be enslaved to that thing because it's very addicting. There's people that are addicted to sexuality and pornography and masturbation and all these shows where there's toys and orgies and whatnot, all these things. It's the same thing of like taking drugs.
Stream, dude. Like,
what was that?
You use coded language. This is still a live stream.
No, he's okay. That's fine. He didn't say
Yeah.
anything.
Anyways, so the main point I'm trying to make here is that it's like anything else. There's certain things that once you get into that, once you make the choice to indulge in that particular thing, you're never the same, because now you have the taste of how good it feels. It's like taking drugs. It's the exact same thing with sex. It's extremely addicting. It's extremely pleasurable. But that pleasure has to have a purpose with it, is what I'm trying to say.
You all as American men, what are you guys going to do? Like, I don't know if you guys are married, if any of you are married. I know A isn't, I know Wesley isn't, but when you enter into a marriage, what are you going to do? Are you not going to make any standards? Are you not going to I don't know. I mean, the only standard saying that as long as she knows how to cook, it just doesn't seem like enough. I know.
I have my list, like I was saying earlier. I have my list. If I'm trying to find a wife, I have a list. That's why I tell men you have to ask them these hard questions. They're not hard to me, but this is why I say you have to ask how many partners they've had, when they lost their V card. You know what I'm saying? You have to ask, did they delete any potential children? You have to ask these questions.
Right.
How do they feel about feminism? How do they feel about this? If you make more than me, if I make more, you have to ask these questions. So when you get into marriage and then you didn't ask it and you get divorced, it's like, okay, it's a process. And I respect what people do in Islam. It's a process. You have to vet these women and men too. But as men, we have to vet these women so we can have a successful union between this family. And this is bigger than the woman and us. It's bringing, like Maher says, bringing families together. You don't want to mess up a whole bloodline in families. You're building a lineage, y'all. You got to take this serious.
That's why this is the reason why I said it's important. It's not about just this, oh, I just don't want anyone else to touch. No, this is about reducing the risk of the men, reducing the risk that he's going to suffer in the future, lose all he's ever worked for. And everyone knows that there has been studies that show that women who've had more than some amount of partners, I think more than five, have less chances of keeping a stable marriage. So if the science is there, it. Why are so many American men just being okay with the bride prices that we have today in this country? The bride price of today is way overpriced. And not only that, it's paired with consequences if the woman is not happy. So the woman isn't happy, you lose half your stuff. You already bought something that was way overvalued, that is not even worth what you're, and then I don't know, I just see so much bad with it. And
well, it's kind of a lack of options. If we were to suddenly have those standards, 99.999% of men would not be able to get married because
well for now, but the women coming up will be brought up with certain standards, and that would change the women who are growing up. Maybe we can't change what we have now, but we can change what's coming, right? No?
Yes, and I do try to give my daughters, teach my daughters some value, and I make sure that when, some of these crap songs come on the radio, I'll change the radio. I remember just today, my daughter was singing along with one of the songs on the radio, and I changed it. I said, I immediately changed it. And I said, I don't think you actually know what that means. And she's getting the hint. She's understanding what I'm saying. Like, be careful about what you're putting into her ears. But there's still got to be a lot of changes. I think we're going to have probably some very rough societal changes over the next few years of people kind of going back to those levels of conservatism, realizing, well, what we thought was the end all be all did not produce anything good.
Do you, Mr. Service? I know you have been trying to speak. Did you want to say anything on the topic? Did you have any?
Can you guys hear me well? I've been trying to get in, but my Bluetooth has been messing up.
Yes, we hear you. Well, I hear you anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And all right. Well, it's interesting that you guys are having a topic that I spoke about the last time the very first time I called into Ameera's show. And things of that nature. I mean, doing the they said that I was what's that called? Going overboard with the vetting and things of that nature.
Oh, that's right. You're the one who said that you would do background tests and something else. I forget.
Right. Now you're having the discussion and you see as to why I do what I do. You know what I mean? But first,
I didn't think you were going overboard at all. But there were the men. I remember that the men on the panel were like, "This is too much." Like, they asked you. Oh, go ahead. I'll let you.
They say it's too much, but then all of a sudden, when they get the divorce graped, and then they get all the other stuff taken away from them. Now they're fighting to actually just to see their children. They even speak on the phone with their kids and all the other stuff. Now they see what I'm talking about. Oh, by the way, my real name is Jason. So, that we just call me Jason.
So you want me to call you Jason?
That's just my company name. I don't know why that just keep popping up, but it's just the way it is.
Okay, then I'll call you Jason. I see a comment. Someone is trying to say if I'm traditional, why I don't wrap my head. And it's like, okay, if you want to know why I don't wrap my head, it's because that's my religion, and that's between me and God if I cover my hair or not. And my husband. Me and my husband have already agreed to this. So if my husband doesn't have a problem with it, I don't think I have to care if you have a problem with it. And eventually I will end up wearing hijab again. Inshallah, in the future, I will, because I do want to go back to wearing hijab. It's just, it's a commitment. It's a commitment to keep covering your hair. So yeah. And also it isn't required in the Quran as well. But modesty is very much required. And it does mention that you must be modest and cover your bosoms. And that's what I do. I don't have my breasts out, of course. So yeah.
I would also like to answer a question to a lady from a couple of super chats back that was asking about purity, if I remember correctly.
Right.
The thing is that if the answer to that is if you are not pure or whatever it is, well, to be blunt, you'll be treated like a slut by the majority of the men. Simple as that. So, especially somebody that's actually serious to, you know, put a ring on it, start a legacy with you, you know, make sure that you and your family, not just the family that you start with, because remember that you're actually marrying into the family, such as the father, the mother, the brothers and sisters, you know, things of that nature. Which is why when I interview her, I talk to the family to see what they're about. I do a background check on them. I make sure that everything is up to par, because for the most part, if the family is ratchet, more than likely she will be too.
That, you know what, you make a great point, and I brought that up in the beginning of the stream. I said you cannot vet a woman by her behavior that she's showing you in the courting stage, because of course she's going to be calm and relaxed and happy. You have to vet her through her family and her surroundings and her behavior, her past behavior. This is why I say past behavior, it matters. So
if I could say one thing on that, is like I very much agree with what he's saying, because I've tried talking to women here in the United States specifically, and the ones that had father issues and all these kind of things, you could already tell that it was not going to work out, because a lot of the things that they were saying, because like Mr. Kulik was saying about the vetting, is I do ask these questions. I have a list of questions that I do ask, and most of the time, a lot of them are not compatible. So that's what I was saying. Specifically, I'm talking about the women in my age range, and the guys I'm not talking about the guys, because the guys, mashallah, the guys are like the Somali brothers. They're the imams in the mosques. They're the Quran teachers. They're the ones that are on the path. They're usually married. They're off the market. They're not even looking. But I'm just specifically talking about the ones that are in my state. So I live in Wisconsin, in my state, and this is the kind of things that are being brought up. And it's not that I don't agree with them. It's just they can have their own beliefs and what they believe in. I'm not going to impose anything on them. They are free to believe what they believe. So that's why I was saying it's just a conversation between us. It's not my beliefs per se.
I want to bring up this really quickly. Oh my God, I don't know if this is the same person who's like, I guess we just have like a contrarian here. Maybe it's a contrarian. I don't know. So he says the purest of women get cheated on. And it's like, what does that have to do with what we're speaking about? If that is what happens, does that mean that a woman should be dirty, should be loose in the street because she risks getting cheated on? So you make sure that you're dirty before you get cheated on? Is that what the point is?
It basically means that the woman's family, along with herself, should have vetted the man properly, for the most part.
Well, that too. But I mean, this whole cheating issue, it's like, it's such a big deal with Americans. It's like your life is ruined if you get cheated on. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't go on. You can.
I mean, a woman getting cheated on doesn't really put much imprint on the man, as far as so long as the money is not going to anyone else, so long as he's not bringing outside babies, things of that nature. Now, as far as the woman getting cheated on, it's already been proven that genetically speaking,
you mean the woman
DNA
cheating
is in her body.
The woman cheating, you mean?
Genetically speaking, the DNA remains in her body of all her past partners.
That's what Mr. Kulik was saying. Actually, he just said
that too, which explains a lot of personality disorders. as well as pregnancy, bringing another man's child in and things of that nature, which is why when I vet the like the lady I'm speaking to now, when I vetted her, I let her know flat out that one of the questions I posed was, will you get offended if I do a paternity test on all our children?
Yeah.
Well, she said no.
Yeah. I mean, some women have an issue with that because
And
they feel
her
that
father,
some women have an
said
issue
no,
with it
and her
because
father
they
was like, because
Wait, if you do what to the children?
His daughter had their mind straight and stuff of that nature. So if a woman gets, usually when women get offended about that, I just like, you know what, whatever, I just move on. It's no big deal. Well, not to them, but it is to me, because in this day and age, like I said, with the internet being available to everybody around the world, women from all over the world are being, what do you call it, promiscuous?
Mhm.
They're being promiscuous all over the world, believe it or not.
I want to address something. Mrs. Option said
Oh,
a
I'm getting
sheet
an echo.
test. She says a sheet test. How
A sheet
humiliating.
test. How
Okay,
humiliating.
Mr. Service or Jason, give me a second. I think you have maybe a lag or something like that. You don't have to read out the comments. I can do that. I'll take care of that. Don't worry. It says a sheet test. How humiliating. And this is why I wanted to ask you about that. I wanted to ask the panel, and I hope some women call in too, because this has to do with mostly women, and I want women to give me their view on what they feel that this does to a woman. So the sheet test being humiliating, I understand that it can be feeling like humiliating. I understand that, but like I said, this is some of the things that people do in different countries. And someone else said, hold on, wait, you said the sheet test is not Islamic. It is not Islamic at all. This is cultural. This is like what certain villages do, people in certain areas. They do this. They do the sheet test. There's nowhere in the Quran that says you must take a sheet and bleach it to the heavens. And then, there's nowhere that says that. But this is what a lot of people do in order to prove their girl's purity, their daughter's purity. And that's another way to show the world, I raised a proper daughter. She's been clean. She's blah, blah, blah. And a lot of pride comes from that. I know it's kind of weird to say that, but a lot of pride comes from that.
What do you do with the sheet afterwards?
I don't know. I've never asked.
With the what?
I would assume you just either clean it or I wouldn't think they keep it. Oh my God. I never asked that question. I don't know what they did with it, honestly. I should ask my mom right now.
Does it become a family heirloom like the wedding dress?
Don't be silly. Yeah. Oh my God.
Hanging up like a flag?
No. Oh my God.
Yeah, keep it up for a month. That way, like all the passerbyers figure it out too.
No. Oh my God, that's so embarrassing. No. I really don't know. You guys, you know what? You guys have got me interested. I'm going to ask right now. I think I'm going to go ask my mom, like, what did you guys do with the sheet? Barry says,
she's gonna call you crazy.
An interesting and brave subject to cover in the face of loose morals and poor choices for marriage. When I was doing the monologue, I was shaking. I was shaking the whole time. It was no. Layla says it's a funny question. Oh, B says a sheet test also protected a woman's reputation. That's what I'm saying.
That is the important part.
An uncomfortable experience, I'm sure, and not one I want as an American. I didn't have that happen to me because I'm in America. I didn't have that happen. But if I were in the country, I would have had that happen to me too. Thank God it didn't. That's
gets it.
Charles says frame it.
And Seismic says put it on Instagram. Good thinking.
No. Oh my God. That is horrific. You guys are horrible. You guys do not care about the girls.
Instagram.
Here's my thing on it. Men in America are expected to be at a certain standard when they're either whether it be their first time having sexual relations or whatever. Yeah. So do I think that sheet thing should happen? I don't think it should be all women in this country, but I think now it needs to be implemented because women are just so wild that they've messed up the whole ecosystem of dating and womanhood. So I would say maybe a good 20 years or so, I think you should have the sheet test there to make sure women are getting back in balance and in womanhood, because they've messed up the club so much and just the relationship club so much. You know, that's my opinion.
But as soon as you take it away, all goes to trash. So that's the way. You can't say, oh, we're going to have it for this period, because once you take it away, everybody notices and everybody's like, well, that's not required anymore. Just like now, it's not required to be a virgin when you get married. People are like, well, we don't have to do that anymore. And now you see the culture that it has birthed. It has birthed what we have right now. I want to see, somebody said something. Oh, Kunami asked, what is the sheet test?
You're gonna just watch this over again, man.
If you weren't here in the beginning, I'll just say it really quickly. It's not that bad of a story. So the sheet test is this: when a woman gets married, there's sometimes the parents will get the whitest sheet possible, bleach it to the heavens, and make it really crisp and nice. Put it on the bed so that when the pair that just got married have their first intercourse, that it is proven that she was pure, that she was untouched before that night. So, and what they do is they take that sheet. Now, this is in certain villages now. This is not all around the Muslim world. Certain villages will take that sheet. Like I said, it happened to my mother-in-law and my mom, and show it to the neighborhood to let everyone know she was pure. It's a sense of pride. It's a pride thing for the family to say, we raised a chaste girl. She grew up. She gave herself to her husband. So you have no reason to talk about my family, because you saw the sheet. You saw that she just got married. No one else can talk about you. So Correct. This is what that's about. And yes, it is embarrassing, but.
And the thing is that pressure, that pride in raising a woman like that, if from the parents' perspective, they are proud not only of raising that daughter that way, but they're also proud and trusting that the lineage of the family is going to continue. There's a high possibility that their DNA and lineage is going to thrive and survive and continue, versus those people that don't want to live in that and live in this whole sexual liberation. They end up murdering their children. They end up doing the whole LGBTQ stuff and the liberation, or don't get married.
Correct.
So their DNA dies, their lineage dies.
Yep.
That's another way you can look at it. There's a cold hard truth that your DNA is going to die, your lineage is going to die. Everything your ancestors did for you, in the trash.
The only bad thing about this culture, guys, the bad thing about this whole sheet test and this is that I mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again for those who were in the back who didn't hear me. The thing that is bad about this is that not every woman has the same reaction to her first time. Not every woman has a reaction of bleeding. Not every woman does. So when you have women who do not react that way on their first time, they are seen as liars. They get kicked out of the home, their new wedding home, their new marital home. There have been women who've gotten kicked out with their stuff and everything. Men are asking for some of the stuff back that they gave. Also, she is stained for life. No other man who hears this story is going to want to marry her, because he's going to see her as a liar who tried to get over on a man by claiming to be pure, and she wasn't. And she asked for, the Maher of a virgin. So this is the problem with this, is like when you have these tests, they don't always work perfectly for every girl. Not every girl has the same reaction to her first time. So this is the problem. And you've seen women who control alt delete themselves because they have been stained with this, like I said, the whole sheet test, the idea of virginity, and they were virgins and they never got believed and they never got a chance to get married. So they would off themselves.
You know what's crazy though? In reverse, that's actually what's happening over here to men. We're having the sheet test ran on us. We're having all these things ran on us. If you don't have, a certain, you're not in a certain financial bracket, or if you don't have the track record of having that experience in the bedroom with a female, that can spread around. So really, what's wild to me is in Catch-22 is the sheet test over here in the West has really been ran on men for a very long time. If you don't meet these standards, and women have their little circles, they have their little firms on the internet, or that female group. If you don't pass these tests, you're not going to be in a certain. So in other words, men are stained for life too. Just like over there in the East. So we're going through that. Men, I don't know if they realize that, but we're actually going through that.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I've noticed that men are the only ones being put through tests to get married. That's why I say, like, this is, oh my God, American or Western culture is so backwards from Eastern. It's like for us, the women are being put through tests. The women have to prove themselves. Over here, it's the men. And it doesn't make sense the other way around, because it makes sense that the woman has to prove herself because she's going to be getting lots of benefits from being married. She's going to be taken care of. She's going to have legacy, and she's also going to inherit from her husband. It doesn't make sense for a man to prove himself when he's going to be the one providing. He's going to be the one who loses everything from the family courts. He's going to be the one. It doesn't make sense the other way around. So, for all the women who are out here who say, men need to be the ones who do this. And it's like, but what are you doing? Like, were you serious? Do you guys think that the marriage price, the bride price for Western women is too high? Or do you think that it is at where it should be right now? Or do you think that it is too low?
Too high.
Bride price for Western women?
Right.
Well, the price that they're setting themselves of wanting the man to be an expert in 3 different fields and for some reason be a millionaire. Like, yeah, it's ridiculous.
I'd like to mention that I have a hearing impairment. My old work, bam, bam, boom, boom, messed me up pretty good. If you can repeat the question.
Is the bride price of the Western woman too high, too low, or just right? Do you hear me?
All right. If she has a high body count, what?
Does anybody else want to answer really quickly, so maybe he can get the idea of what we're talking
Yeah.
about?
So the question that she's asking is, to marry American women, is the price too high? Is it just right, or is it too low?
It will depend on her disposition, physically, mentally, and spiritually.
But in general, like what you see
but
right
in
now.
general, with the way they're conducting themselves now, is way too high. They're asking for too much when they offer too little.
And they can't cook.
Huh?
And they can't cook.
Well, I
Wesley
can
loves
cook. I used to
food.
work in the kitchen for the Italians, so I'm all set.
But best woman I was ever with was a Jamaican woman, and she was the best woman ever because she cooked. It was that simple. All right. If a woman can't cook, I don't know what else to do. Like, I don't.
Oh, man.
I mean, I suppose we can have a little rumpy bumpy for a night or two, but I want to come home to a hot meal that she cooked herself. It's a longevity issue.
Oh man, I put my ladies to work.
You know
But anyway.
what? I agree. C. Miles, you are correct. And nobody brought it up on the panel. There is no bride price in this country or in the Western world. There is no bride price.
I think we
And
kind of
this is-
misunderstood what you were asking there.
Huh?
I think we kind of misunderstood the way you were delivering the question there.
No. Both answers are correct. Both answers are correct because you do essentially pay a price for what you get anyway. But what he was basically saying is that it's no, what is it called? There's not a standard. There's not a rule that you have a bride price, correct? But what the men are ended up paying, okay, American men, when you marry a Western woman, what do you pay? You pay for what? Because I don't know if you consider dating. When you're dating, are you paying for most of everything, or half? Are you guys paying half? And then when you get married, because this is the Western world, is she paying half? Are you paying half? Or are you still paying everything and she's paying nothing? Or like, what is all? Do you guys, when you get married, do men have to give anything to the woman during the ceremonies, or do you guys have any gifting that's required?
Other than paying for the wedding,
right?
A prenup.
Well, that's not part of the payment.
I'm making a joke because going back to what Mr. Kulik was saying, like, it's kind of opposite for us. We're kind of paying on the back end. If she's not happy, we lose half of everything.
That's true.
And we're paying with our attention, our time, our money, our effort to support her, to supply her with a house and a good life.
We're more important. We're paying with our kids.
And she cooks like crap usually.
You and the food. Are you okay with the food? Are you hungry?
It's a good point to really. It's a good point to really like nail in there. Like if a woman cooks for a man, that's going to mean a lot to him. Like I think women don't realize the power. You know, when I'm looking for a woman, I don't really care about her career. Like, oh, you're a lawyer or some shit. Like I'm good on you. I'm not going to disparage that at all. But can you cook?
So this is what Mr. Vertigo is saying, the engagement ring. The engagement ring I would consider as part of what we would call the Maher. We call it Maher in my culture. But you guys, you pay your engagement ring. But you get it back. If you guys don't get married, you get it back. Correct?
Well, we hope so.
I don't know.
You
I mean,
hope
He doesn't pawn it.
yeah, I would pawn it. But,
Sometimes.
I mean,
So can I ask you this? In this country, if you were promised a virgin and then the night of the night she didn't pass the test, right? She didn't pass the white sheet test. What would happen legally? Could you actually legally how can I say this? Could you legally take back your wedding ring, divorce? You can't annul it because you already did the deed, right? You can't annul it.
It
Only
can
if
still
you
be
had
annulled based on
a prenup in place.
Only if there's a prenup. And Wes says it can still be annulled.
It depends on state laws, but there's different states have different laws. Like some states can annul any marriage within a 30-day period, regardless of anything going on. But also, like as far as like wedding rings, it kind of depends on the price of the ring. And there's been several court cases that have happened because the ring was like $10,000, and the dude's like, "Yeah, I want that back.
Mm-hmm.
You can't cook."
Mm-hmm. Mr.
It's like,
Wild,
yeah.
I don't know if Mr. Wild is a woman or a man, but I wish he would call in because he or she is making points that I wish could be more, how can I say this, like understood or explained, because he's saying that in modern day women bring more to the table than men. And I've heard this from so many people who say women have to be beautiful, they have to be smart, they also have to be independent, make their own money, they have to know how to be social butterflies, they have to help the man in his company, also they have to take care of the children and all of this, which all of this is all natural. This is not even something that should be.
It's a natural thing, but if that was the case, why aren't they building the roads and everything else and making more money than us and all those other things of that nature?
Well, they're talking about in a relationship, Mr. They're talking about in a relationship.
Wise, I mean, the husband goes around and he sacrifices pretty much damn near everything.
Dude, women are not bringing more to the table. I'm sorry,
right.
Go ahead.
I don't see her working construction.
But that's not a relationship.
I don't see her.
We're talking about relationships.
Well, that's what I'm saying. As a relationship, when a relationship can when you bring a relationship with somebody and stuff like that, you have to understand that she's also managing his job or whatever it is that he does for a living. So that being said, he's risking a lot more than her, as far as that's concerned. I mean, for the most part, he's working to make sure that she stays home, she's safe, and all these other things for her to be able to do her job as a mother and a wife. The man has to go out and make sure that he's doing what he can, not just for the wife and everything else, but also for his boss and his customers if he's a business owner, and things of that nature and stuff like that. So, I mean, if anybody can add to that, that'd be great. But that's just the way I'm seeing it.
You're basically making the point for this person, Mr. Wild. You're basically making a point. I think it's a woman because he said, who hurt you? So I think that's typical of women. So I think it's a woman. So you're making the point that Wild was making, saying that you don't bring anything to the relationship because you haven't spoken about anything you brought into the relationship. You just said he works construction. He's the one who builds the roads and he's, but that's not bringing anything. Do you know what I mean? I'm playing devil's advocate here because I honestly think it's a bunch of rubbish. But at the same time, I want to hear, what do men bring from your opinion?
Well, number one, throughout history, men bring security into the family. Without that, if you look at history, I'll say it again, if that man was not there, that village or neighborhood or clan or tribe would be taken over. And then what happens is the women get taken advantage of.
Very much.
And yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So security, number one.
Security number one. I have a list of what men bring, but
Yeah,
I want you guys to tell them, because I don't want to be the only one, because everybody knows how I think. But hearing it from men yourself, say what you bring to the table versus what women bring.
Have any of you ever had a salesman try to sell something to you, and you have to look at it and be like, look, I've told you 10 times, I don't want this shit. Right. So it's not about what they're bringing to the table. It's about, or how much they're bringing to the table is the fact that what they're bringing doesn't have the value they think it has. And most men do not sit across the table from a woman and say, oh, wow, she got a good career. Yeah. We don't think that. We don't care, because we always know, men see into the future, and we always know that when a man and woman decide to make a life together, there will be a discussion about children, and a determination will be made. And that determination will be that woman either has to stop working, or she has to cut down the part-time. She has to do something else. It will always be the woman having to give that up, because being a mother is a bigger, more important job.
Well, the thing with this person, they're saying that that the modern day woman is making the same or even more than the average man today. So that is not true. I have heard this trope being said that women are making more. This is not true. When you look at the numbers, the majority of women are making average money, very much average. I mean, the most like 50 something. There's like 9. I think there's like 7% of women that are making over 100,000. Right? Am I wrong or am I right with that number? It's like 7%.
You're right. Yeah.
But for men, it's like 10% that are making over 100,000 and more. So to say that women are making more money, this is not true. Right. I don't know who lies and says this, but it's not true.
So I need to get going. It's getting way too late for me. But
good night, Wesley.
My last thought for you is think about this. Secondhandarabianbrides.com. I think there's a market there.
Okay. Thank you, Wesley. See you later.
It'll hit some of you later on, but wonderful conversation. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you.
Peace out, brother. I'm gonna
always has the dad jokes.
I'm gonna add to this point here. So this discussion that we're having today, where men have to compete with women from a income standpoint, from a who's bringing more value or worth to the marketplace standpoint, that's all great and dandy if you are in pursuit of career. But again, you're trading off the nuclear family to be enslaved as a career.
Yep.
So you can brag about, oh, women's empowerment, we're lawyers, we're doctors now, and we're presidents now, and Supreme Court judges now. Mm-hmm. But again, what it takes for you to pursue that, you have to sacrifice having children, being a wife, cooking, living the nuclear family. And that is what people are not realizing or clicking it yet. You can't have both. It's nearly impossible to have both. I'm not saying that you can't work 40 hours a week or work part-time, but to work these CEO jobs where you're working 80, 100 hours a week like most men that run things, you're not going to have any life with that. You're not going to be able to have a nuclear family with that. So it's a moot point to say women are making something to brag about. That's not good.
I completely agree. And another thing that I wanted to bring up is that there's a comment saying that 50,000 a year is pretty average, which we already know. And it says that women tend to date up, so you would have to make at least 75,000 per year. And this is where I get like it irritates me, because I understand the whole like dating up and hypergamy, but you're expecting a man to make this amount of money. But what are you giving? Do you give everything that he's going to need from a woman? Because the majority of the women who are asking that the man makes an absurd amount of money aren't. They're just not. They're usually career women themselves. And it's like there's that whole power couple. I heard this Then the last year, I learned what a power couple is. And it said it's two powerful people that come together and build an empire. And I'm like, that all sounds all fine and dandy until it's actually time to make it happen, because it doesn't usually work this way,
They are
especially if
not
they
worth the
want
bride price.
family. Huh?
They are not worth the bride price.
But you can't tell a man. You can't tell a man that he can't. What if there's a man out there who does want a woman who is career oriented? Is she
Well,
then
that's his
worth the
problem.
bride price?
That's his problem, not mine. I'm just putting it blunt. You know, that's his
Now,
problem, not mine.
men that typically want that, I'm going to be blunt. Those are typically very low self-esteem, very low performing men that are more
Right.
feminine than masculine, probably didn't have a father in the house, don't even know what it means to be a man. Men have their own problems. Let's be blunt and transparent about that. Let's not all put it on women. We got some weak ass men today that stand for nothing. You know, they don't even know how to fix change the oil on a car, change the tire, use a gun, speak
Embarrassing.
proper English. You know, list goes on.
Correct. You know, when you see this comment that says if the woman is making 50K, that the man has to be making 75 or else she's not interested. My thing is this: when a woman is getting married, you should not be judging a man by what you make to compare to what you make. Does that make sense? Like, if I make a certain amount of money, then he must make this much amount, or else I'm not going to even consider him. This is, you marry. I recommend, no, this is just my recommendation. Everybody marry on your level, either on your level or slightly above, if a man is interested in you who is above. But just expecting that naturally you're going to get a man that's above you, it's creating this dynamic where men who are actually good men, who aren't making the money that they want, that these women want, are going to be wifeless. And for what? Just because they didn't make the amount that was more than her? Because she's earning 50, now he has to make a certain amount to be qualified for her? So what are his qualifications to her? This is why I say American men, Western men, you guys are getting all these qualifications thrown at you. You must do this, you must do that. Where are your qualifications? Where are you going to say that they have to do? Because this is why I'm saying, like, I mean, I guess maybe because the way that I come from, I see it differently. I'm married, like, I don't know. I think you should just marry on your level or slightly above, but don't expect this fairy tale.
Amir, I'm going to ask you a question. People from your tradition and culture and normality of things,
Yeah.
what value do you see in that? Like, why do you commit to it? Do you commit to it because the country forces you to do it? Or do you commit to it because your father tells you to do it? Do you see value in it? Why do you guys see the good in that and your type of conducting yourself?
Of marriage?
Yes, and of marriage, how you choose marriage, how to find a husband, how you view that, the whole choosing of men and everything.
I get it. I didn't choose to get married when I got married. My parents told me I was ready to get married, and I got married. So for when I understood that I was getting married, I knew the importance of it, because I knew that no matter what, I was going to have to get married. So we knew that this is one of the pillars of it's one of the pillars of my religion. Half of my religion is marriage. If you're a Muslim, you complete half of your religion by getting married. It's critical. You don't have another option. So creating that standard of you have to makes it more fair in the marriage game, because it makes it like everybody has someone. You go to someone. Everybody goes to somebody. You don't just sit there and wait for the best option to come. You marry someone and you devote yourself and you work on it. When I got married, I knew the importance of it, because we see the family and we believe in culture. We believe strictly in culture and tradition. And the only way to complete our traditions for when we die is to make sure that we have created a family and expanded our families. That's the only way to ensure that the culture spreads, because us just sitting here by ourselves is not doing anything. We must expand. We must multiply and create more of us. So that's another reason why we believe in that. And this is a part of that not racial, it could be cultural or it could be racial. It could be that need to see your people in the future, to see your people multiplying and growing. So that need for us is very strong, that we must continue the culture. So the only way I do that is to marry a man that is of my same culture. We do not marry outsiders. We don't marry a person who is not Muslim. I will never marry a non-Muslim person. And the other thing is that you also see it from your family. Our families from young teach us the value of it, the reasons why you need to do this, and the reasons why everything is important. Like I said, for the culture is the most important, the religion, the traditions, the family. We believe so much in family. Family is everything. So
If I could add one more thing to that, is like, I know a couple of people who got recently married that are near me. They're Somali and they didn't have much money wise, but they were both on the same level. Both the families agreed and they got married right away, and they were like 21, 22. So they're on the same level. And personally, not personally, I would say when a guy if a Muslim man is looking for a Muslim woman, it's like there's two things that are main, and then everything after that is like you can customize it. So it's deen and akhlaq. So her religion and akhlaq is like, if American characters, like manners and characteristics. So if a person doesn't have
behavior,
those two, it's very hard. Like those are like super important.
right.
Super important. You can marry a woman for her beauty, her lineage, all other things. But
Right.
so I don't think it's for most part, like the people in my community, like where I live, even in Wisconsin, you would think that we don't have much of a Somali community, but we do have a community here, and
I
a
know.
lot of them are getting married. A lot of
Yeah.
them, some of them have money, some of them are stable, some of them are like, both of them are, one of them just graduated, the other is still going to school, like they're on the same level. So it's like,
Right.
so it's like, it's not like money wise. There are some women who are asking for the moon, but like for the most part, it's like on average, most people are like on the same level, if that makes sense.
So I get a comment from Haley. She's like, "Didn't you marry your husband for status?" I didn't marry my husband for status. I have my own status as well. My husband is on my level. But the reason why I said status is because in our culture, we have families. Your family is what, how can I say this? We have good families and bad families. Does that make sense? So his status, his family status was very good. And I married my husband because of that. Well, how can I say? It adds on to another reason why he is my husband. But either way, I would have gotten married no matter what. So, I mean, your point is what? You want to just like, what, try to criticize my husband for being of a good family? Is that what you're trying to do? Or I don't know. And I think a lot of Americans, you guys heard status. I think you guys equate everything to money status. That's not what it is. I'm talking about status, his family status. So, I mean, I don't really understand what the criticism is, and I don't understand why people have to like try to criticize my husband because what? I don't know. That's the person who I married is because I wanted to marry that person. My family found him. My family offered. They said, "Do you want to do it?" And this is who I chose. So who is anyone to criticize who my husband is? I'm happy. That's none of anyone else's business. So
Yeah, and also, what I've noticed too at an early age, I'm talking about around middle school, what I've noticed, women or even girls at that time, they destroyed the whole dating atmosphere. They destroyed it. I'm a millennial. I remember seeing the downfall, and there's a joke me and my friends used to say, and then if you look at society, you look at the time frames, and if you understand spirituality, I'm not going to get too deep in that, but some might say women, I'm talking about worldwide, basically, I just need to say it. This is gonna sound wild to you, but basically, women died. I'm talking about literally. The scripture says this too. Women died. I think women died in 2006. But there's a whole story around that right there. But I want to get to this though. Women destroyed the whole dating atmosphere, especially in the West. They destroyed it, and
but
they've
why
made
2006? Can I ask you why 2006?
Well, I don't know how. It might. Let's just say this. On a spiritual level, women are broken. And who broke it was their aunties, their grandmothers. The womanhood itself told them to self-delete, to try to get rid of men. So them trying to get rid of men, actually in the move of chess, they blew themselves up. I'm getting a delay here.
No, I understand. Mr. Service, your mic is giving us some feedback. I'm going to turn you off. And thank you, Mr. Millennial. He already did it before I said it. Thank you. Really quickly, Mr. Panderson, can I get a... Thank you. Hi, Mr. Panderson. Oh, wow. It's like gang signs. Bye, Mr. Panderson. Okay, sorry, Mr. Kulik. I'm sorry about that.
No problem. And I was just saying that they, in 2006, if you look at all the movements and all the things they did to be better than men and say we're going to do this and that, if you really know spiritually if you look at these women in America, wherever it be, just mentioned Wisconsin, whether it be Texas, whether it be New York, if you look at these women in their eyes, they're not even there. They're not there. Some men can see this, some can't, but literally they're not there. And this is why I told men, when you go on these dates, have a cat fax. Just like, you guys know what the Carfax is. Pull out, ask her for the cat fax. So you can know how gone she is. But a man should be able to know and look through a woman's eyes and say, you know what? Is there any femininity in there? Is there a real woman in there? Or is it a demon in there? I can see that.
Oh, can I ask a question? So I'm going to get you, Mr. Jason. I'm going to unmute your mic. I'm sorry. The thing I want to ask you is this. Okay, so I've heard this on Red Pill content where they'll say something like, they called it like 1,000-mile stare or something like that. Like they're looking 1,000 miles past you when they're looking at you. Like fish eyes. Fish eyes. Is that real? Is that real?
I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what that is.
We call it the 1,000 Seas stare.
1,000 Seas? 1,000 Sea stairs?
Yeah, I don't want to say the word out loud because, platform.
No, I said 1,000 miles.
It involves a man's body part. In other words, they've had so much that they give you that stare. The 1,000 Sea stare. That's what men call it. Well, in wartime, they call it the 1,000-yard stare. But as far as...
that's what I was thinking.
Huh?
That's what I was thinking, the 1,000-yard or 1,000
the 1,000-yard stare. But when it comes to promiscuous women, we call it the 1,000 Sea stare.
What does a C have to do with it?
Because she had so much C, which is the other letter that we call D. That
1,000 Ds. Okay.
Yes, the D.
Okay, I understand.
She's had so much of it that she can't. What's that called? She can't bond. She can't pair bond.
Right,
you know what I mean? And when she can't pair bond, she can't exactly look at the man the way she needs to.
This guy says, can we stop blaming? Thank you, Mr. Wealthy Broke Man. I appreciate it. He says, can we stop
The solution is for women to stop acting up. So anyway. Now, back to it.
You can't do that.
Hey, it's what it is. I mean, we wouldn't be having these discussions if we didn't have the kind of problems that we did now with all these women that are behaving the way that they're doing.
Well, the thing is, okay.
I understand men have their issues too.
The question is genuine, okay? I'm assuming. He's saying, can we stop blaming women? But are we blaming women, or are we saying truth?
We're not blaming them at all. We're just bringing up the problems to light so we can have a discussion about it so that we can come up with a solution for the issue.
I don't remember saying, women, it's your fault this or your fault that. I remember saying that I didn't blame the women because you were raised this way here in this culture. That's what I remember saying. So I don't know if somebody's just in their feelings and they just kind of get emotional. I don't know.
I have a different opinion on that. So I don't. I tend to blame the ideas that women have ingrained, the ideologies that they think is successful or going to be good or empowering. I think those things need to be blamed and targeted and disproven to say these ideas do not work. Look at the end result of this idea. Third wave feminism failed. Sexual liberation failed. And we need to move past that. So I wouldn't really, because men got their own problems too. Let's be blunt there. Men are lost as well. So I don't think just simply blaming women is the only answer for the fixing of the United States of America. Men have got issues and problems too today. the same thing. We both got issues. Both sexes have issues, but both sexes have to destroy these certain ideas that we have ingrained in society. Let's keep it 100. Men today, we embrace the Kim Kardashian, the Nicki Minaj, and the On the Pole and Pornhub and all this nonsense. And that trickles into, well, some women are just reacting to that, to saying, oh, I guess a man wants a sexually liberated man, so I'm going to sexually liberate myself. So some of it is cause and effect that men created themselves, because we lowered our standard.
That's right. And, to the individual that said that, you have these type of men that say, oh, we're blaming women. And we're not saying that. We're looking at the logic as men. We're trying to say, okay, women, you need to live to these standards. Men, you need to live to these standards. But these disingenuous type people that make these comments and stuff like that, these are the reasons why men are getting ran over by these names 76 is labeled. You don't have a standard, and men have standards, and men that have to ask these weird questions, weird feminized, because that's a feminized question. Why are you blaming women? We're not blaming women. We're using logic. We're using logic. So whoever that person, logic. We're using logic, and we're setting boundaries so we can protect ourselves, and that's the womanhood and manhood.
I think it doesn't work like that.
Let me get Mr. Panderson really quickly, Jason, and then back to you. Is that okay?
Well, I just want to say one more thing in relation to the status thing, and then I have to go.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Now, in relation to people marrying for status and things of that nature, let's think of status this way. Would you rather marry a CEO or a hood rat? Or a hood thug dude? Which one?
Wait, is it women or men? Who are you talking about? Who's the hood rat?
We're talking about marrying a woman marrying for status. Would you rather marry a CEO that got his stuff together, or would you rather marry a thug life dude?
Yeah.
That's the answer to the
I don't
status.
understand the criticism of a woman marrying a man that is.
Well, I mean, they marry a man for whatever reason and stuff like that. I mean, so long as they can make it work, that's the biggest concern.
Right.
But if they want to put status into the picture, and would they rather marry a man that can have her cry in a Mercedes or cry in a busted up Honda Civic? I mean, it's totally up to them. All right, but anyway, I have to go. Everybody have a good night. God bless. All right, be safe out there. All right,
good night.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I just think it doesn't work that way. I think at the end of the day, yeah, we got problems, men and women. I think more of the problems rely on the woman's side, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, there's men who want, like, for example, I still want to get married. I still want women. I want a relationship. I think it's really unproductive when people go over and run to the MGTOW space and say, well, yeah, we're going our own way. Men going their own way. Where are they going? They're going nowhere. Or the same women that they're complaining about, once they say, I don't want to get married, ain't no wives. Now you're stuck dealing with the same women that you're complaining about because you eliminated the wives out your equation. Because ain't no wife going to want no MGTOW dude with MGTOW attitude. A lot of these dudes haven't smiled in 7 years. They're miserable. But emotional intelligence is important. Women have freedom of choice. So do men. There is no standard, and you have to do this and no baseline. That's how men think. Women don't think that way. They never will. Just
But
like
they are making standards for men. They are doing that.
Honestly, they're not, because the standards that they're saying, that's not what they're going and having kids with. They're all over the place. Men are all over the place.
But your bad decisions don't have any standard, of course. But when a woman is actually speaking about marrying someone, they have so many requirements, but men have none.
These women aren't marrying anybody. They're saying they want 6 figures and 6'8" and a big job with this, but some of them have kids with Thug Johnson. He ain't had a job in 7 years. So what they're saying and what they're doing don't even add up.
Everything 7 years.
And this is where.
But I just find
go ahead.
I just find some of the conversation, some of the things, and shout out to all my trolling 60s in the chat, but I find some of it not to be productive. And nobody's supposed to bash women about the weight. That's my job. Me first.
Okay.
I'm supposed to tell them about 276 pounds.
Here we go. Okay.
But anyway, we can't tell these women what to do. just like they can't tell us what to want and what to do either. So I find it not productive. The best thing we can do is be better, try to have an understanding, and try to be the best leaders that we can. The ones who don't want to comply, put them in a one-way Uber back to the streets where they belong and go get somebody else who will. That's all we can do.
Yeah,
Try to influence, stay positive, and try to move on. But it's just not productive. Man, these women are fat. Man, they're ugly. They won't listen. They won't, man, these women, blah, 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 blah. Man, they're what? Man, these men, dusty. For entertainment, yeah, or for conversation, yeah. But for actual reality, when you step out and you go to Walmart, you go to the club and you're meeting and talking to the woman, it's not productive.
But Mr. Panderson, do you think with what's happening in today's world, with the whole issues in Eastern Europe and all of that, that's going to bring some change in the world? It might bring more change than we're expecting. So do you think that this will bring us back to our values?
No, because just like months ago when they were talking about winter is coming, it's almost like, okay, the women, they're going to be losing jobs and running out of money or whatever. And some dudes are sitting there like, yeah, they broke. They can't feed their kids. They're coming to me. Is that really the solution and going to fix everything? Women under survival mode coming to you because she wants to sleep in your garage. Is she going to turn into a wife all of a sudden? Really?
I have
People are
hope.
who they are.
I have hope for that. I mean, I always said we need something that's going to scare us or bring us back to tradition. And I think
people don't have. You got women. Okay, the women, they're so deep into this. Gain 56 pounds. That makes you die faster. Throw your man out the house and keep the kid and raise them in the beta syndrome. A man making $40,000, $50,000, $70,000 a year financially is better than taking $800 a month in child support. So when people say, yeah, they're weaponizing the system, whatever, the system doesn't even work. So I don't know what they're doing. And a lot of stuff that's not even working and the numbers not even adding up, putting us in crisis mode. If people won't operate when things are good, they're not going to operate any better when things are bad. It's not going to wake and scare the people.
I disagree.
I don't.
Creating a crisis. So
I don't.
Why would they operate and function under a crisis?
Because people get comfortable when things are too good, and once things get rough, that's when they realize what's important. This is why I say your behavior is different when you're comfortable versus when you're hungry and cold. You're going to be really humble when you're hungry and cold, but when you're warm and fed, you're going to be a spoiled brat. You're going to speak out. You're going to be rude because you're comfortable. That's why I say, with this happening, hopefully there's going to be a bigger change around the world. And I think this is going to bring us back.
I don't think desperation is going to create wives.
It's not desperation. It's not desperation. It's a wake up call.
Yeah, I don't see, and again, I don't know if you heard what I was saying before because you just got on, but
I did just get on.
Yeah, because I wouldn't say anything. I don't know, because you were saying you disagree. What I was saying was, and I'm not MGTOW, I'm not Red Pill, I'm not none of that stuff.
I also wasn't speaking directly to you either. But
no, I'm just making sure. But you said after I said you disagree, and I was kind of like, and you were saying the same talking points. And just to reiterate, and as men, we got to know logically what's going on so we can hit the bullseye. That's what I always preach to men. I always say that. I don't come in these rooms trying to, be off balance. Let me get back to the point. What I want to say is, like, I'm optimistic. I'm not pessimistic. I've had a lot of interesting things happen in my life, a lot of negative things, but who cares? What I want to talk about is the future generations for little young boys and girls so we can make a better place for them. So I'm never going to say, let's try this out. Let's try that. Oh, this is not going to work. I'm not going to be Snuffleupagus from Sesame Street to depressing. I'm not going to do that because there's a lot of men that are defeated. They can have a lot of money. They can have no money. And we were talking about this last time. There's a lot of men that have money that don't know how to basically be around women and how to get them and how to keep them. So we got to know as men, this is what I always say, we got to know as men to have standards. And that's what malehood does. I'm not trying to control women. I'm not trying to do nothing like that. But women respect any man, rich or poor, that has standards. They like that.
And that is another thing. I remember that whoever asks what men bring to the table is order, structure, standards. Men live and thrive off of that.
Correct.
All the order and laws and constitutions of countries made by men. The logic, the thinking of men.
Mr. Takeshi, wait, give me a second. It's been a really long time. Genki desu ka? Genki desu ka? You're on mute. I don't know if your mic is muted. I think your mic is
Sorry about
muted.
that. Sorry about
go.
that. Hajime masta genki desu.
Hajimemashite.
But no, overall, I'm hearing what
I'm about to
Westside
roll out.
Kulik is saying.
Y'all have a good night.
Good
All
night,
right,
Mr.
Patterson.
Patterson.
You'll be all right. My whole thing is I'm actually on West Kulik side when it comes to this. Of like I'm not part of like men going their own way. Red Pill. I'm not part of that nonsense. To me, it's just a cancer in of itself more often than not. And maybe it might work for you. That's cool. Whatever. I mean, if like I said, works for you, works for you. But the only thing I care about is the generation that's coming up afterwards. Are they going to have anything to go up to? I spent a whole month thinking about this. I really did, guys. I'm talking about I was away from the internet for a good few days, and I really had to think about this, of where this is headed, and all I see is pretty much pure chaos and destruction. I don't see anything positive. And people think I'm crazy, but because I'm saying like a world calamity would technically do the world some good to fix some of this nonsense. And people say desperation and fear. Well, guess what? It needs to happen personally to get people back in the mode of needing each other again. And I'm not saying men, we don't need ladies. Men need us. Not men. Women need us just like how some men may need a woman next to them to take care of some things. Now we're not like, and I understand that we all have our strengths and our weaknesses. That's why we complement one another instead of we work better together than we work against one another. Because if it was a one-sided men versus women war, well, we already know who would win that. That's not even a question. But when it comes to like the generation, oh no, go ahead, Maher. Go ahead.
No,
Maher.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you had finished. I'm sorry. I just you saying that is so triggering to a lot of people. And honestly, it almost seems like when I say the same thing, that we need a catastrophe, people think if we're the absence of war means that there's world peace, and that's not true. Just because there's no war doesn't mean that things are right in the world. I mean, when a ruler in Germany back in the 30s, when he was running wild before the war happened, there was no war. Does that mean that things were good? They weren't.
No.
Sometimes war sets things straight. And this is why I say we do need something to happen, because we're too comfortable, we're too fat, we're too greedy, and we've just got no purpose anymore. We have no purpose. Everybody's just sitting around. We have all these men with testosterone who's looking for a purpose, looking for something, because every man wants to make a legacy. Every man wants to make something of himself. No man wants to die just being born, live your life comfortably, and go die. No man wants to live like that. Well, men who are like, but
yeah, well, who are very in tune with themselves. Yeah, I see that argument. And
so
the thing
so
is, for
this
me, Ameera,
us being comfortable is not working. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. You're right. The thing is, I was gonna follow up with your point. I've always said, listen, I remember a time when we didn't have the internet. I'm a 91 kid, and I remember exactly before like AOL and all that. And I told them, listen, though these people have never seen the economy at its peak, at its best. They've never known peace at the time. I remember when 9/11 happened. I was like in middle school when that went down. I remember it being on every channel. And I you know what went into my mind? Where do we go from here? My father's looking at me, son, like things are gonna get. I'm like, we're going to war, son.
But don't you see how good what happened to the people when that happened? Everybody bonded together against me, against my kind. But no matter. Everybody bonded together. Everybody forgot all the nonsense that didn't matter, and they focused on what did. Everybody, there was a different spirit. So when we
Yeah.
see this happening, war, problems, strife, uh, what is it called? Famine, all of
Famine.
these
You
things,
get it.
this brings you back to what's important. And then you stop thinking about, oh, this BBL or this Instagram, or let me, look pretty in front of this thing. You start thinking, wait a minute, where's my mother? Where's my father? Where's my husband, my kids? You think about the
Right.
people and the relationships. Kevin Samuels said, now this is something that I really applaud Kevin Samuels for saying. He said, life is about relationships. It's not about anything else but relationships. So every time we look at relationships as things like, oh, I don't need a relationship. This is stupid. It's annoying. This is what life is here for. We're here for people. We're here for other people.
Yes. And the thing is, how we get there is so crucial and important. But it's just like, to me, it's just, I'm wondering, like, yo, a lot of how I say it is, like, a lot of humans feel what they don't understand, and it's just like, you act like a bunch of freaking children, which I cannot stand for the life of me. And I'm just like, where, and and yeah, it's gonna trigger people, but I really don't care. Like I said, listen, I can take it. It's just a lot of you act like children, and then you want to complain and saying, "When I'm a victim or whatever," on the woman's side, but on the other end, it's like, "Oh, these ladies hurt me." Listen, you're gonna get hurt regardless, as far as I'm concerned. And all, and what he does say, KS say, that I do agree with, the choices and trade-offs. That actually is a real concept. This is what you chose. And now here's a trade-off from that choice. It comes with a territory for both men and women. It comes with both a territory, and you can't dispute that. And like I said, what you pick is gonna change your life forever. And also, but also,
I
like,
agree.
tell all the men here are, and I know they're listening to me. I think all y'all can, like, pretty much vouch for this. Whenever your father told you something of that was importance to your life, you took it with seriousness. If
Right.
he knew it was my bad, if it was critical to shaping you to be the man that you wanted to be,
The
and
tone that
you
your father
listened to him.
speaks to you in, when he's saying
Yes.
something serious, when he's looking you in your eye and his voice is
Mm-hmm.
really deep and quiet, this is, I need to remember this. Whatever he's saying now, I need to make it stick.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that my father always told me, and I still talk to him to this day about it. And he's like, "Son, you took my advice. You're well on your way. Your other brothers have done me proud. You're doing me proud, doing what you're doing." And I'm like, it to me, it's the excellence of not wanting to let your father down. Of, like, what I think that's what keeps me mostly going. Never want to disappointing him. And I'm 30 and I'm still don't want to do that to him. So there's like a thing that's implemented in the brain for, like, boys when they have their fathers to excel despite their many failures. It'll keep pushing them to be better. It's just that whenever we're, like, trying to have, I guess, unions with ladies, ladies need to understand, like, yes, there's nothing wrong with having what you want, but you got to also understand that this is not just a you mentality. It's for the family dynamic. What you
Correct.
want, no, I'm saying what you want comes at a sacrifice. This is what marriage is. He's
Correct.
sacrificing that single life is already gone. It's for you. It's putting time for you and the kids. You have to sacrifice your little single life in order to commit to the family
Well,
dynamic.
not only
That's what that
that,
is.
sacrifice energy. Both of us are devoting our energy to one another. Every time I have
Yes.
to wake up and I have to take care of my husband, or I need to do something to make sure that he's okay, that's my sacrifice. And also, I want to say, I got to go, guys. But before we go, I'm going to
Mhm.
give you guys your last words. But lastly, I just want to say thank you guys for being with me. And also, the tragedy or tragedies or the pandemic, when that happened, it brought me and my husband closer together. I saw so many people getting divorced when the pandemic happened, and so many news articles saying people aren't surviving this isolation, or you know what I mean, where they have to be alone together all this time. They're not surviving through it. They're breaking up, divorcing. And we had the exact opposite. Me and my husband actually got closer doing that. And for some reason, it just, so that's why I say, when you have to be alone with someone in a closed space for a significant amount of time, you understand whether you like that person or you don't. But I want to thank you all for joining me. I want to give you all your last words, and we can close out after you all finish. I'll let you guys order however you want.
Yeah, much respect for the show, Maher. This is a great topic. Thank you for sharing your story and culture and history. People need to know this, and again, having the courage as a woman to tell this. And it would be nice if more women do this, because things will change. Things will change if women talk about this. But again, she has great courage for that, and salute to that. But I just want to say, lastly, men, respect yourself. Men, respect your body, respect your time, respect your lineage, and have standards. The same for women. But again, men, we have to institute and establish that back in the malehood so we can have a thriving community. Much respect, y'all.
Yeah, and everything Jay said is on point, and I can tell he's thought through a lot of what's going on right now. And one final point: a lot of people will ask, why should I sacrifice the hookup culture and pleasure in my life and living that life of dolo and being promiscuous? Well, respect your lineage. Ask yourself what did it take for you to live in this point that you're at right now? How much sacrifice was needed for you to be in 2022? Generations and generations that went through way worse trauma, Great Depression, the Black Plague, World War, crazy unestablished nations, kings and queens, legal trades of slavery, all this crazy stuff. For you to live a privileged life that you have today, what are you doing to pay back and show respect to your lineage? And everything that you choose, is it respecting your lineage, or is it disrespecting and spitting them on the face? And that's all I got to say. Thanks for having me.
Those traditions is very important. Thank you.
I would like to start off by saying I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on, Ameera, on the platform.
Thank you for coming.
I was silent for a lot of it because usually if I'm not knowledgeable on a topic and there are people who actually know stuff that I don't know, so I just take a back seat and let them have the conversation. It's not rude to interrupt people, so it's like I let them have what they have to say, and I learned a couple of things, and there were some interesting topics, and I think that we had some good dialogue, and it's not much that I would disagree on. A lot actually I would agree on, and I think that the last point that 76 made, 7076, I think that's millennial. It resonates with me because a lot of Somali people, like a lot of my people, like a lot of us have had parents who have struggled and seen a lot in their life, and they have sacrificed a lot, and you cannot put into words or actions how much they have sacrificed for us to be in these positions, to be in this position that we are in. And I reflect on it a lot, and I'm really grateful for my parents and everything they have done for me. And it's one of those things that I have a lot of respect for. A lot of respect for my parents, and my dad is my role model, and he's played a great role in my life.
Shout out to the parents.
And I would really appreciate, like, when I think about it, it's like I cannot put into words how much he has sacrificed and how much he has done for me, raising me, my family, taking care of his tribe. You cannot just put into words how much it means.
Thank you
I
so
really
much,
appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
And I think we're going on the right path. We're having these conversations, and people are learning things that they might not be privy to, or they might even not even research about it. It might not come up on their mind. But I think everybody should learn a little bit about every other kind of people, because especially if we're living here in the United States, we are very multicultural. We have people from all kinds of places, all kinds of backgrounds that live over here, and it's good to learn about other people. It doesn't put you in their shoes, but you're able to understand where they're coming from in certain topics and certain things.
Right. Thank you, A. Thank you so much.
And I appreciate you. Thank you for it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Takashi.
Well, first off, Ameera, I want to give my hats off to you. Thank you for sharing the story. Like I said, I had to catch up to a little bit of what you were saying, but I heard everything you said, and it's very much needed. And A lot of people need to hear that. It's all the people who are detractor out there. Just ignore those people. The ones who want to listen will listen to you and actually take what you say. That's what I've learned about
a lot of people take it wrong. I know, but
no. They don't just take it wrong. They misconstrue it. They need to actually stop listening to what they want to hear and pay attention to what's actually being said. That's one thing I can't stand about people nowadays. Once again, stop paying attention to what the media says and pay attention to what's being said. I'm gonna say that to all the detractors in the comments. Stop that. Listen. Take that pole out of your rear and freaking listen. Simple enough. But my closing statement is, yo, shout out to all the men here on this panel. I appreciate you guys sharing your perspectives and your knowledge.
thank you.
I love seeing that because I love especially Army men up here. I respect y'all a lot. Thank you for y'all service too, because my father and my brother are in the military, so I really respect that about men more often than not. And also, the one thing I hope that everybody can take from this is that whenever you're growing up and you understand like the lineage that your family has, I want you to always go back to how history was looked at back in the day, but I want you to look now how history will look at you, the coming generations, of like what we leave behind. That's another thing I was thinking about, like how they're gonna remember us, and I'm realizing more chaos. But the thing is, if I want my offspring and my future generation offspring to be looked in a good light, I want to leave behind some knowledge and some wisdom and also some culture for them to go back to lean against. So I think the best you can do for yourself is, like I said, you owe it to yourself to know where you come from, but also know the culture where you reside in. Once you do that, I think you'll be in a much better light. And trust me, you'll have a lot more respect for it. That's all I gotta say.
I appreciate all of you. All of you are very deep thinkers, and I appreciate you. And I can't wait to see you guys for next week. I hope you guys have a great week. Like I'm happy to have the Sunday nights because I get to see you guys at the end of your last week, in the beginning of your new week. So it's a great day. Happy Sunday to everyone. I hope you guys have had a great weekend, and let's make it a great, productive week ahead. Take care.